We are live here on Chat Sports. Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. We are presented today by Magic Spoon. Go check out their cereals. I'm a big fan of the cocoa. Chase loves the peanut butter flavor. And we're launching a brand new show here at Chat Sports. Chase Sr. hopped on board, what's it been, about 6 months now?
6 months to this month, yes.
And we went to the bosses and we said, you know what? We're getting along great. Our personalities mesh really well off one another. We're both pretty well-rounded when it comes to, we both love the NFL, college football, the NBA. We're not just one-trick ponies here. We're not frauds here at Chat Sports. And so we basically said, hey, let's try a new show where we're building more around our personalities. We're hitting the hot topics, and this is the debut show, Chase. Here we are. We made it.
Yeah, we're here, and we launched a brand new graphics package just for this show here at Chat Sports. So while we have a new show, we also have a new look for the show as well. Can't wait to get it started. It's going to be more free-flowing, less structure, some personality. We're going to be drinking beers, having fun, talking sports, as we always do here at Chat Sports. And, of course, we always value the audience interaction as well.
And speaking of which, this is your chance to really just dive on in already, because we're trying to figure out what our show name should be. Now, we didn't really know what to expect on the first live show when it comes to audience. I've seen some of you guys have voted on the poll, so appreciate that. We'll certainly revisit this throughout today's show. You guys probably saw the thumbnail, which is the photo of the video, and it says, brand new show. Because Chase and I can't decide what we want our new show name to be.
And we want to include you.
And we want to include you guys. Well. So vote on the live poll because it's there. These are the 4 options we've come up with. If you have better options, feel free to type them down below. I think the leader in the clubhouse, Chase, is Any Given Thursday.
On the live poll right now, 54% of the votes, 24 votes in total. I saw Cheryl Stemp in the comment section saying the Thursday Q&A, but this isn't just a Q&A show, even though we will be answering your questions throughout these shows. So Any Given Thursday, the leader in the clubhouse right now.
Yeah, so let us know. We'll certainly revisit this. Vote on the live poll. You can also type in your answers, 1, 2, 3, or 4, based on those 3 or 4 options, I should say. And we'll have some fun, and we'll try to finalize a show name sooner rather than later. By the way, if you want to help us out, share this video, and let's get more people popping here in the live chat, because we got a lot of stuff to digest today, Chase. A lot of stuff to dive into.
Yeah, we're getting into a lot on today's show. We're going to list our top 5 craziest NFL fan bases to celebrate football being back. Week 1 kicking off on Sunday. We'll also give you our Week 1 NFL picks against the spread and over-unders. Everybody from the Chat Sports office has submitted their picks for Week 1. Should Damian Lillard request a trade? Harrison and I are going to list our reasons as to why he should and get out of the Pacific Northwest. College football picks as well. Are the Los Angeles Lakers too old after they went on a free agent frenzy spending? Ben Simmons trade targets, some notable players that we think the Sixers can trade Ben Simmons for. And then, of course, our mailbags coming up on today's show as well. Use the hashtag chat. That allows producer Jeremy, who you'll hear from throughout today's show as well, pop those questions on screen.
Yeah, and you guys are used to hashtag NFL or NBA, but today hashtag chat, because ask about the NFL, ask about the NBA, college football, ask about non-sport stuff. We're down to chop up literally anything here on today's show. So use hashtag chat, and we'll have some fun. We're even ready to give some life advice, if that's what it comes down to.
No question. We keep it a buck here.
Yeah, we have fun. We keep it real. Chase and I are pretty well-rounded. By the way, shout out Chris Boulder already getting a super chat in there. He's using hashtag chat. Rolling with the Cowboys tonight. So glad football is finally back. Hashtag chat. And before we kind of jump into the show, Chase, we can get the live chat flowing a little bit, because we still want that to happen. We're not going to, like Chase said, this isn't as structured of a show, more of a free-flowing conversation between Chase and myself, but we still want your engagement. We still want you guys commenting, liking the video, doing all that good stuff, because that helps more people find this show. So who you got? Thursday Night Football. Hey, football, the NFL is back, man.
This number has gone up to 10. So the Buccaneers at home, defending their Super Bowl championship, 10-point favorites over the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott coming back. That number is way too fat for me. I think the Buccaneers are going to win this game. I think they're going to celebrate that title defense tonight in front of a national audience. So many people are going to be tuned in for this game. Tom Brady against Dak Prescott. So I'm going with the Bucs, typing my TB for the Buccaneers to win this game. I think the Cowboys might cover that number, though.
10's a lot, man,
10's
especially
a lot.
week one. You don't know how teams are going to play. That does lead to blowouts at times early in the season, but 10's a lot, man. I like Tampa to win, but Tom Brady at times can be a slow starter. How many times would they start, 1-2 in New England? Oh, Brady's done, and then he rips off 10 out of 11.
Exactly right.
It's and we kind of saw that with Tampa last year. So Dallas, Tampa Bay, Mile High is going with Tampa. So is ACB as well. Josh Lang rolling with the Cowboys. Appreciate you guys. Lots of stuff planned for you on today's show, but little special treat here off the top because it's 5 o'clock on the East Coast. Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. here on our brand new show. Let us know what you want our show to be. We are presented by Magic Spoon.
Yes, sir.
Get $5 off at magicspoon.com/chat, and you can enjoy the delicious and healthy cereal. Chase, we're launching a new segment on our show, and it's called The 5 at 5. Today, the top 5 at 5, because we're going to do this every week, whether it's a list, sports, movies, maybe top 5.
Could be pop culture.
Pop culture.
Top 5 Leonardo DiCaprio movies of all time.
Whatever we're interested in. And by the way, let us know if you have any ideas. We'll certainly roll them out. You can keep us informed there. But today, the top 5 craziest fan bases in the NFL now that week one is here. So what we're going to do, Chase is going to go through his top 5. I'm going to go through my top 5. We want you guys to let us know what you think the craziest fan base is. And Chase, let's kick it off. We'll go from 5 to 1, and you can run through your list here, and it's going to be a good time.
So I feel like I have a good barometer on this because a couple years ago I went to the NFL draft in the great city of Nashville, Tennessee, and on night one there was like 200,000 people on Broadway getting lit, partying it up. And I got to see, myself and my buddies firsthand, how every one of the NFL fan bases were represented by their respective fans. Some people all just decked out in a bunch of face painting and their gear. So I got to see there which fan bases were representing, which fan bases were the most passionate. So my number 5, top 5 craziest fan base in the National Football League, I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks. Every time you play in Seattle, Harrison, you know that the 12th man is going to be showing out. They're going to be wild. They're going to be going bonkers. That's one of the best home field advantages across the National Football League. And the fans in the Pacific Northwest deserve more national recognition for how crazy that fan base is.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And I'm actually going to do some live producing here on the fly here. So, Jeremy, keep up. Let's go 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1. So, Seattle, you're number 5. They might be in my top 5. We'll get to that in a second, but we're going to go to my number 5 team, and we'll kind of alternate here just to kind of keep the back and forth flow. Huge fan of the 12th man in Seattle. It'll be nice to have fans back in the stadium up there for Russell Wilson.
The college football and the atmospheres last weekend set the scene for what is going to be full houses all across the NFL.
And yeah, and we, there's nothing like college football, but no fans in the stadium last year. It just didn't feel right whatsoever. My number 5, though, Kansas City, man. I think this is a slept-on fan base. They're passionate. They waited 50 years for a Super Bowl, got one a couple of years ago, and the Arrowhead Stadium, folks, they get after it, Chase. A lot of tradition in Kansas City. They have a lot of fun. Maybe this leads to controversy down the road, as a lot of things do in 2021, but you can't deny how passionate the Chiefs fan base is. Chiefs Kingdom shows out. Maybe it's not up there with some of the other teams we're going to get to, Chase, but I definitely think Kansas City might be overlooked when it comes to passionate football fans.
I agree with you. Kansas City always shows out. You know who shows out too? The Dog Pound in Cleveland. Cleveland coming in at number 4 for me. Look, this is such a passionate fan base because for so long, not only did they have to deal with their franchise leaving for Baltimore, which had to have been catastrophic because they are such a passionate fan base, but also they have stuck with this team through thick and thin. They put the paper bags on the heads during those lean years, but last year able to win a playoff game for the first time since 1994. The Dog Pound is always well represented in every pocket of the United States. So I like the Browns as my number 4 most crazy fan base in the NFL.
I'm going to go to your number 5 as my number 4, Seattle. The 12th men, they show out, man. You can't tell me Seattle playing with no fans last year wasn't a major impact on them not being as good of a home team a year ago. You go into that stadium, the decibel levels are off the charts. They get after it. It's the endless debate of, is it Texas A&M or Seattle is the 12th man? Because for college football fans, they'll say, oh, it's Texas A&M. I don't know. Go to a game in Seattle. I think they have a pretty good argument for how loud they get. So I've got the Seahawks at number 4. Chase had them at number 5. We want you guys interacting, letting us know what you guys think is the craziest fan base in the NFL as we get to Chase's number 3 here in just a moment. But my 4 and 5, Seattle at 4 and Kansas City at 5. You had Seattle at 5 and Cleveland at 4. Let's see who Chase has at number 3.
Bills Mafia in at number 3. This might be the hardest partying fan base across the National Football League. During tailgates, you see legendary sights and you hear legendary sounds of Bills fans just toppling over tabletops, just going nuts outside of the park. And Buffalo Bills and Cleveland Browns fans both have something similar, where there was a long drought of just brutal football to watch, yet they still remain passionate with their respective teams. So I like the Bills coming in at number 3. I need to get to a Bills Mafia tailgate because I'm down to go full WWE on some tables at a tailgate. No question about that.
Got to shatter some tables. That's what it's all about. Philadelphia Eagles. That's who I have at number 3. Chase Sr. is a native. He is from the Philadelphia area. He knows about the passion of that city. The segment is craziest fan bases. I'm going to piss Chase off. They threw batteries at Santa back in the 60s.
Snowballs at Santa. You just get it right.
You can't do it. I mean, it's, is that passion? Is that crazy? It's definitely crazy. I don't know if that qualifies as passion. Of course it does. I saw Invincible. Come on. If it's in the movies, it must be real. No, Philadelphia sports fans are very passionate. They're a little bit crazy. But, hey, they're very strong on how they feel about their sports teams. Did they break Carson Wentz? Perhaps. Has Ben Simmons been broken by the city of Philadelphia? I think so. But hey, it's craziest fan bases. I got them at number 3.
Or it's because Carson Wentz and Ben Simmons just weren't built for the rigors of Philadelphia.
That's why you got them at 2.
The pressure cooker. I have my Eagles coming in at number 2. I hail from Philadelphia, and I like to represent the good in Philadelphia fans. I always like to say this, that 90% of the fans, they're good people. 10% makes the 90% look really, really bad. Here's the deal with Eagles fans, though. They're so passionate. They care. They live and die with their team, more so than any fan base across the NFL. The Eagles are a part of the everyday culture and the everyday fabric in the city of Philadelphia. So, yes, they might be brutal. They might boo when their team isn't doing well. But I'd rather have a fan base that actually cares compared to one that is just full of front runners, and this is what you cannot say about the Eagles fans. They're not front runners.
Yeah, you know what? The Chargers aren't on this list as I get to my number 2 team here. That, of course, is the Las Vegas Raiders. Raider Nation gets after it, and our good pal Mitchell Renz, who runs our Raiders channel here at Chat Sports, he will tell you that fan base has passion. Do they have questionable decision-making, both as a franchise and as fans? Absolutely, and the real ones know. Trust me on that one. But look at this guy. Come on, you don't see that in San Diego or L.A. now. This is just built different with the Las Vegas Raiders. I almost put him at number 1, settled at number 2, Chase. This fan base is the definition of crazy.
Definition of crazy, and we have a joke that Raiders fans are just degenerates because when Mitchell Renz,
in a good and bad
host
way,
of the Las Vegas Raiders Report, goes live here during breaking news situations, you'll have Raider fans super chatting him $500 just to force him to drink. I've never seen anything like it in my life. And when I was at the NFL draft in Nashville a couple years ago, there was no fan base better represented than the Las Vegas Raiders. And I don't even think any of those fans even showered because they didn't take off the face paint. They were rocking the spikes on the shoulder pads. Las Vegas Raiders fans go hard. Craziest fan base in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah, so you got the Raiders at 1. You get to my number 1 team here. And hey, I'm going Bills Mafia. I think you had them at 3.
I did.
I'm going 1, man. You're nosediving out of second-story windows onto a table. That's just built different. That's just having no care whatsoever on what happens. Sometimes they light the tables on fire and then go head first. Bills Mafia is electric. When I saw the story, they could go to Austin. They ain't leaving Buffalo.
No.
That would be
they ain't coming down to Texas.
That would be the demise of the Buffalo Bills. And now they have a good team too, so it's even better because they were already crazy when they weren't good.
Yeah.
And now they're good.
Yeah.
So it's even better for Bills Mafia. Those are our top 5 craziest fan bases. Let us know. Hey, if you agree with our list, let us know. If you disagree, if you think there's some other teams out there that should crack it. We're going to do this to lead off every show, the 5 at 5, because it's 5 o'clock Eastern when we kick off our brand new show every single week on Thursdays. So let us know down in the comments. And, hey, subscribe if you want more content like this. This is a little bit different than what we normally do here at Chat Sports. Chase and I are cooking up a bunch of new ideas. We're down to have ideas from you guys. So get in the comments and let us know. And, again, hit that subscribe button for more fun videos from us here at Chat Sports and here on my brand new show with Chase. Okay, Thursday Night Football, Chase. Dallas, Tampa Bay, the line up to 10 points in this one. I like the Bucs, but if I'm a betting man, which I am, I think I like Dallas.
I like Dallas to cover the 10 because Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy have pressure on them to make this season not a disastrous campaign like it was last year. So they're not going to give up. They're not going to fold until the final buzzer sounds. So they might be down 2 scores late in this game, but they're going to try to score that late touchdown to at least make it look better on the scoreboard.
Try and get a low onside kick maybe to try and hang
Tampa
around.
Bay's way too loaded for Dallas.
You bring back all 22 starters. I mean, it's just hard to match. L2 Cloud rolling with the Bucs, Alizai rolling with Dallas, L2 typing Tampa Bay. Let's see, Salian says Tampa Bay. Let's see here. Got a couple more Bucks coming in here. Some Raider fans in the comments from that last segment. Crazy fan base, man. They're just built different. Someone says the Rams. I hate to break it to you.
So this is the thing.
Once they left St. Louis.
Me and my buddies, we were at the NFL draft in Nashville, and we got pictures of every fan from every single team, all 32. You know, on the last day, the fan base where we couldn't get a picture of? It was the Los Angeles Rams.
You sure that's because Sean McVay had already traded all the draft picks, so there were no Rams people there?
I just don't think there are many Rams fans out there. That's what I think.
Oh man, they should have never left St. Louis. That was definitely a questionable one. DAL for Dallas, TB for Tampa Bay. Lots more to get to on today's live show. Some more NBA stuff to dive into around Damian Lillard and Ben Simmons. So stay tuned for that. But, hey, we got to make our NFL Week 1 picks, so let's transition to that here on Chat Sports. Week 1 of the NFL season is here as you're rolling with us on our brand new show with Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. Still trying to come up with a show name. It's up to you guys. Let us know in the comments if you have any good show ideas. But, Chase, it's time to make some picks against the spread. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to dive deep into my picks, my confident bets of the week, Chase's, and then we're going to run through the entire Chat Sports staff, and we're going to keep tabs on this all season long. We'll update the standings. Everyone is 0-0. It's like all 32 NFL teams. You still think you can win the Super Bowl. Well, I still think I'm winning the prize here in the office at the end of the year because we're all even right now. Let's go through Chase's picks first, and then we'll go through my picks. We'll spend a couple extra moments on ours, then we'll kind of rapid fire through the office picks and kind of see how we're feeling about what some of the picks are this week. So, Chase, we'll go game by game here. Here are your 5 picks.
Yeah, and let me start off by saying this. It's the best time of the year for 2 reasons. College football and NFL football are back, and we can finally bet on football again. There's nothing better than laying some lettuce down on some NFL football games. That I will tell you. So here are my 5 best picks for Week 1 of the NFL season. I got the Eagles up +3 actually against the Atlanta Falcons. I think the Eagles are going to go on the road as 3-point underdogs and take down the Falcons in the debut for Nick Sirianni, going up against another debut head coach in Arthur Smith. I think Jalen Hurts, who only completed 52% of his passes last year, is due for kind of a breakout season in the second campaign. And I think he brings this dual threat nature to the Eagles offense that I think is going to be very dangerous.
It's one of these weird games because both these teams have a lot of question marks. Atlanta's an older team. Julio's gone. You got Kyle Pitts, who's exciting. And then obviously in Philly, it's all about Jalen Hurts. So should be an interesting one for sure.
I think Devontae Smith could have a breakout game in his first game as a pro, coming off that Heisman Trophy winning campaign with Alabama last year. The Seahawks are 3-point favorites on the road against the Indianapolis Colts. And I think Frank Reich is probably the most underrated coach in the National Football League. And I like the Colts' roster. I think Carson Wentz is going to bounce back back from a disastrous 2020 campaign. I just don't think it's going to happen in the first month of the season.
Okay.
He suffered that broken foot, so too did Quentin Nelson. Those are two of their best players on the offensive side of the football, and they didn't get to practice a lot as a unit during training camp. Whereas the Seahawks, even though they're debuting a new offense, they have Russell Wilson,
It's a veteran team,
who has never received a vote to win MVP.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how that's possible because Russ has never won less than 9 games since he came into the league. So give me the Seahawks -3 to cover that field goal number on the road against Indy. Niners -7.5 against Detroit. I think San Francisco's going to win this game 31-17. They have the edge on offense and defense as well as coaching. I think Kyle Shanahan has the clear coaching deficit win over Dan Campbell.
You don't like biting kneecaps?
Who's talking about cannibalism. I think the Niners defensive front, in all seriousness, is going to get after it because they're 8-10 deep.
I think you're generous with 17, by the way.
You think so?
I think this might be like
28-10.
The
The only reason why I say that is because it's the first week of the NFL season, and sometimes weird things happen. You and I were talking about this. Bears +9 against the Rams? That number is way too fat for me.
I stayed away from this game. I host our Bears show, Chicago Bears Now. Go check it out. If you search that on YouTube, you'll find it. I just don't know what to think of. Primetime Andy Dalton's bad. Now, this line has shifted. It was like 7 a week ago. Now it's 9.
Is way too much.
Eddie Goldman may not play for Chicago at nose tackle, but 9 for a team that still plays good defense.
Exactly right.
That feels hefty. And they're familiar with Matt Stafford from his time in Detroit.
They're going to try to possess the football and play defense.
Yep.
And for me, that lends itself to the Bears covering that 9-point number. And then lastly, I beat the books with Baltimore and the Raiders. This is the Monday Night Football game. Really looking forward to it, taking place at the lavish and beautiful Allegiant Stadium
like the
in Vegas. I like the Raiders +4.5. I was able to get that in right after the injury news came out on Gus Edwards. Looks as though, as we record this during our live show on Thursday, he's going to be out for the year, potentially with a torn ACL.
Marcus Peters, I believe, as well.
May have suffered a knee injury as well. So I think the Raiders +4.5, that's a really good bet at home for the first time in front of a raucous crowd because last year they didn't have fans.
Yeah, let us know what your favorite picks are. You can also shout out your favorite team in the comments. We're always down to find out who you guys are repping. Here are my picks, Chase. We'll go game by game here. Tennessee at home -3 against Arizona. So basically Vegas is telling you this is a pick'em game because the home team typically gets a field goal. You're telling me Tennessee, Arizona is a pick'em? I just don't see it. I know Julio and A.J. Brown have been a little banged up. I think they're going to go in this game. But they're at home. Tennessee has been great the last couple of years. Ryan Tannehill has become a top 10 quarterback. And Derrick Henry, we know how dynamic he is. I think the defense will play better. I love the Titans. Only a 3-point favorite against Arizona. Might be my favorite pick of the week. Kansas City -6 versus Cleveland. Browns are good. Trendy Super Bowl pick. Less than a touchdown, though, at home at Arrowhead for Kansas City. They fixed their one weakness, which was offensive line.
Really
they beat that up in a major way. GM Brett Veach had a great offseason. Mahomes is healthy after the turf toe surgery back in February. I think this is a 10-point game. I think Kansas City wins this by 10, and it might be more like 14 or 17, and Cleveland gets a late score. I really like Kansas City at home. By the way, I believe Andy Reid is 7-1 in season openers.
Oh, he's electric.
So that's
season openers and in the month of September.
And coming off bye weeks. Yeah. Chiefs 10-0 with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback in September. That's a good note for you guys. So if nothing else, bet the Chiefs money line. I keep telling you guys, money line the Chiefs all year. How about this one? Under the radar. And if it's arrow up, it's over. Arrow down, it's under. Jets, Panthers, over 44. 44 is not a lot. I don't think the Jets are going to be good defensively.
Their secondary is atrocious.
It's atrocious. I think Sam Darnold with the weapons, Robbie Anderson on the outside, DJ Moore as well, I think they can put up some points. And we saw Zach Wilson in the preseason throw the ball pretty well. I think this game could be, 28-24, 28-20, 31-17 and clear that 44. Yeah. I like points in this one. And then the under in the Bears-Rams, I didn't mess with the spread. I think this is a defensive game, though, which kind of pointed to your point where the Bears are going to play ball control. And then Baltimore, -4.5. I'll stick to it. I didn't change after the Gus Edwards injury. It makes me a little nervous, but I still think they'll be able to run the football against the Las Vegas Raiders. That's my picks. Those were Chase's picks. We're going to rapid fire through the rest of the team in just a second. But first, Hey, there's one place to bet on all this stuff, Chase. I've already made some money. I hit a couple of nice college football picks last week. Feeling good. Chatsports.com/bet is where you go for BetUS. Plug in our promo code CHAT125. Here's my best advice. If you put down $100, you get that $125 in free cash to bet on. You just float on that all season long.
That's $225.
I still have money from last year. So, I mean, it's just you can get a little reckless, too, when you have that extra cash. Get going. The link's right there, chatsports.com/bet. Use the promo code CHAT125. So, like we said, we're going to keep up standings for the entire office all season long. So Chase and I will alternate here. This is the office's picks. We'll kind of just sprint through it. Chiefs -6. This is Brett Scott. He likes the Colts +3. Washington football team. It's a pick'em game with the Chargers, which is interesting. Dolphins and Giants +3. And we'll update the standings next week. Here's what Boss James Yoder's picks look like.
The boss man going with the Steelers at +6.5. The Vikings -3. The Giants +3 against the Denver Broncos. He likes the over for the Dolphins and Patriots game. That over set at 43.5, and then he likes the under for Seahawks Colts at 49.5.
Tom Downey's picks, and he's a big gambler, trust me. Bills -6.5, Chargers pick'em game, so he's on the flip side of that Washington game. Bengals +3, 49ers 7.5. He's with you on that one, and then Tennessee -3. That's my favorite pick of the week. Here's what Mitchell Renz has.
Mitchell Renz going with the Seahawks at -3 over the Indianapolis Colts. He likes the under of the Patriots-Dolphins game at 43.5. The over for Bills Steelers at over 48 flat. The under for Rams Bears under 46.5. I could end up seeing that being a low-scoring game.
Yep.
With the first game of Matthew Stafford and that Sean McVay
I like the
offense.
under there too.
And then Mitch, host of the Raiders Report.
No surprise.
He's going to be in Las Vegas all weekend, taking the Raiders like me at +4.5.
Do we have producer Jeremy Chuggs mic'd up? Yeah. Okay, here we go. Run through your own picks, Jeremy, and we want to get Jeremy more involved on the show. Talk louder, Jeremy.
We got the Panthers at -4.5, Texans +3, Eagles +3. I got the under Seahawks and Colts.
Okay.
I'm going over on the Packers and Saints.
You guys will hear from Chuggs more time and time. We were kind of time crunched today at the office, but we want to involve him more in the show moving forward. Marshall Green's picks. He likes Carolina -4.5, Chargers pick'em, Seahawks -3. He's got his G-Men +3. He hosts our New York Giants show. And then the Packers at -4 against the Saints. That game is in Jacksonville. Trace is liking the Jags -3. How about this pick?
Jags -3.
Wow.
Okay, a little bit of a surprise there. 49ers, Lions under 45. Vikings -3. Chargers, Washington over 44.5. And he likes the Giants, too, +3 over the Broncos. That seems to be a pretty popular pick around the office.
RC rolling with the Vikings -3. A lot of people are picking the Niners -7.5. I feel like I'm going to regret not picking that one. Dolphins +3. Rams -9. RC's got the Rams going to the Super Bowl. And then Ravens -4.5.
Matthew Peterson, who's right here to my right. He's set to be a betting connoisseur. We'll see what happens with that win-loss
We'll update
record.
the standings.
Under for Bills Steelers at 48. Over for Cardinals Titans at 52. Browns +6 against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Like it.
Under for Seahawks Colts at 50. And then another popular pick. It's Niners -7.5 against the Lions.
Yeah, Jack Lauderay, one of our producers, has 49ers there at the bottom as well. He likes the under in that Jets-Panthers, so opposite of me there. Vikings -3, Chiefs -6, Patriots -3, and then again we mentioned San Francisco there as well.
All right, let's go to Sam Brown's picks, and he might be the biggest bettor in the office. We call him Gambling Sammy, #beat the books, because he's always scouring over the books to see if he can in fact
He's big
beat
in the
books.
betting game.
We're going to actually see when the pressure is on, because now his picks are...
I've seen him spike a couple of products in the offense. It's happened.
His picks are being televised to a national audience now, not just national, across the world. He's going Bills -6.5, Panthers -4.5, Titans Cardinals over 52.5, Vikings -3, and Packers -4.5.
And then Jeffrey Cooperstein, I believe this is the last one here. No, we got one more after this. Cowboys +10, Falcons -3, Vikings -3, Dolphins, Patriots over 43.5, Bears +9. If you're watching the show after Thursday Night Football, Jeffrey broke the rules, but we are airing this live before TNF, so we'll allow it this one time. And then Thomas Mott bringing up the rear here.
Steelers +6.5, Jets Panthers under at 44. I'm with you. I kind of like the over in that game. I could see it end up being a pretty high-scoring matchup.
I just think the Jets are going to stink defensively.
Mott is with me in taking the Eagles +3, Cleveland +6. It's popular among bettors out there, but I think KC at home has the clear edge, and then the under for Jags-Texans at under 45.5.
Let us know what you guys' favorite team is, and make sure you guys subscribe. We'll also include Nick's comment here on this video. What are your picks on the Seahawks versus Colts? I like Seattle, even though it's on the road.
Yeah, Colts are getting 3 at home.
I still like Seattle.
But I like Seattle. Russell Wilson oftentimes starts the season really well, Nick. So I think your Seahawks, because I'm looking at the avatar now, are going to end up covering that 3-point spread.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that one as well. So appreciate you guys for sticking with us. Let us know what your picks of the week are. Then, of course, subscribe. We'll keep you guys up to date on everything with our picks all season long when it comes to the National Football League. Make sure you guys get in the comments, stay active in the comments section, predict this year's Super Bowl matchup. Hey, man, it's week 1. It's time to this is the time of the year where everyone on Twitter tweets out, hey, I've got the Chiefs winning the AFC West and so on and so forth. Do you have a Super Bowl pick? You ready?
I'm
putting you on the spot here.
I haven't about this yet. I really haven't.
We're just grinding so hard at Chat Sports that we
Seriously. I haven't had the time to project forward so long, but I like how Kansas City has beefed up the offensive line. The offensive line was the biggest reason why they lost that Super Bowl.
Agreed.
And Tampa Bay was able to dominate them in the trenches in that Super Bowl matchup last year. So I like Kansas City to make it. The other teams in the mix in the AFC, Cleveland Browns, I think, have a very loaded roster. The Buffalo Bills went to the AFC Championship last year. Can Josh Allen, after taking a historical step last year, take yet another step forward this year? He was second in the MVP last year behind Patrick Mahomes. So those are the teams I like in the AFC. In the NFC, I think it's wide open, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at teams like the Los Angeles Rams, the Green Bay Packers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are my clear favorite to make it back to the Super Bowl because on their entire 53-man roster, only 10 new players, and they have all of their coaches back too.
Dude, I hate to cop out. I'm going rematch, man. I know it's the cop-out answer,
man.
But when the Bucs get all 22 starters back, when the Chiefs fix their one weakness, if those two teams play their best, those are the best teams in football. I think Buffalo's close. I'm not quite there with them defensively, and I know it's 2021, but sometimes you need to be able to get a tough 4 yards running the football. They really struggle to run the ball with their backs. Like, their best runner is Josh Allen,
right.
and that can be problematic at times. So that's an area I'm looking at for them. So that's my matchup. Nick Fury, we can run through some comments on screen, actually. Rams-Bills from SM. Two trendy teams. Stafford, new start in L.A.
I really like it. I know the NFL would probably be bummed at that because there's not a huge market in Los Angeles, but Bills Mafia, even though there's such a diehard fan base in New York, I'm not sure it's like a national brand, right?
I think the ratings would still be fine.
Oh,
it's
it'd
the
be
Super
fine.
Bowl.
It'd be fine.
It's the Super Bowl.
I'm just saying it wouldn't be Chiefs Bucs
Sure,
again.
yeah, rematch. I think the NFL wants a rematch. I really do. Actually, maybe they want Aaron Rodgers in the Super Bowl. Yeah. Maybe that's the other option.
Aaron Rodgers against Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, dude, that'd be electric. Chiefs Seahawks from Nick Fury. I had that last year in Seattle. The second half of the year, they just folded, man. They absolutely tanked. And then L2 Cloud going Bears versus Bills. And then one more here, Sam Jackson going Chiefs versus Bucks. Appreciate your guys' engagement. By the way, we want to use or do a live Q&A later, so use hashtag Chiefs, or chat, hashtag Chiefs, hashtag chat in the comments. We'll try to light that up in the comments section, and we will try and answer as many of those questions as we can. Want to shout out our sponsor today. That is Magic Spoon, high in protein cereal, 0 grams of sugar. Chase and I are big fans of this stuff because we both love cereal, but we had to cut it out of our diets because you get that stuff off the shelves at the grocery store. It's just not healthy for you, but you get these sugar-free brands here from Magic Spoon, and it's absolutely fantastic.
Man, when I was in college, there was nothing better than coming home late at night crushing a bowl of cereal. Here's the problem, though. I was crushing these bowls of cereal from traditional brands.
Yep.
They're loaded with sugar, loaded with carbs. So what Magic Spoon has done is take the polar opposite approach.
Yep.
There are 0 grams of sugar per serving, only 4 grams of net carbs, and 13 to 14 grams of protein per serving. And per bowl that you take down of this delicious and hearty, awesome Magic Spoon cereal, it's less than 200 calories per bowl. You can't beat it.
Yeah, and some of them are even less than that. It's a great deal. MagicSpoon.com/chat. Stay healthy with Magic Spoon. Get back in the breakfast game. Go ahead and get $5 off your first order at magicspoon.com/chat. Trying to remember what we were jumping into here next here. Oh, we got to shift to the NBA. So we're going to do that here. Talk some hoops. A lot of drama surrounding Damian Lillard and the Portland Trailblazers. When is DeAndre Jordan going to sign? I'm being asked from someone in the chat.
Once he clears
waivers, he's a Laker. So,
and basically his contract details make it impossible for him to go to any other team but Los Angeles.
So you basketball fans, stay tuned because talking some hoops right now here on our brand new show. Damian Lillard and the Portland Trailblazers, well, it appears he's going to go back to Portland. Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. I think we both disagree with that, Chase. What is going on with Dame? Why is this guy so loyal to a fault at this point, in my opinion?
I honestly give Damian Lillard a lot of credit for being so loyal because he's remained loyal to a franchise that hasn't had a lot of postseason success. Got drafted in 2012 out of Weber State. And maybe he's loyal to Portland because they were able to identify him as potentially becoming a superstar. And he has become a superstar over the last several years. I think he's one of the most electric scorers that we've ever seen in the history of the NBA because as soon as he crosses half court, he is a threat to put the biscuit in the basket.
Yep.
But Damian Lillard, in 4 of the last 5 years, the Blazers have gone out in the first round 4 of those last 5 years. And throughout his entire tenure, which is coming up on a decade in Portland, the deepest that they've ever made it was to the Western Conference Finals back a couple years ago when they lost to the Golden State Warriors before Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson went down with those injuries when the Warriors then lost to the Toronto Raptors. So I think Dame is going to at least give the start of the season a try with Portland. And if the season gets off to a disastrous start, that's when potentially, as we get closer and closer to the NBA trade deadline, that's when he maybe demands a trade.
So the reason we're talking about this was because Damian Lillard went on Instagram and basically said, "Rip City is my city," indicating that he's not demanding a trade. That is why we're talking about this here. We've talked about this all offseason long. Will he get traded? Will he not? There's the photo of it right there. The comment getting a little cut off there. But he's basically saying, "Rip City is my city. I want to stay." I don't get it. On one hand, I say, okay, I respect the loyalty. There's not a lot of guys built like Dirk Nowitzki. There's not a lot of Tim Duncans out there. And if Dame wants to go that route, and if he would rather lose and never win a title and be like one of these guys than win 2 or 3 in a bigger market, then I can't dog him for that. But like, don't you want to win championships? It's never going to happen in Portland. The report coming out was, if Dame's going to stay, better have a big offseason. Yeah, Cody Zeller ain't doing it for me. No. I hate to say it. They just didn't do it.
Either is Tony Snell and Norman Powell.
Dennis Smith Jr.
Yeah.
Like, this just isn't going to work out in Portland. Like, yeah, he'll be a legend there. Yeah, he's going to set all their records there. When people think of the Trailblazers, they're going to think of Damian Lillard. I argue they will no matter what. He's been there long enough at this point. It is time for this dude to get out. Like, while you're still in your prime, go to the Knicks, go to the Lakers, go to the Warriors. I don't care where it is. Go chase a championship because you're not winning one in Portland. I'll tell you right now, if he never leaves, he ain't winning a title.
Should Damian Lillard request a trade? Type Y for yes, type N for no. That's the big question we're hitting you with on today's video. Obviously, Harrison, Damian Lillard is very frustrated with his situation in Portland. Otherwise, there wouldn't be these reports coming from credible NBA sources that Damian Lillard is very frustrated with his situation in Portland. And I would be too, because when you look at Damian Lillard's career, you take a look at what he did last year when he was phenomenal. 29 points per game, almost shot 45% from the floor, almost 39% from distance, which is crazy considering the volume there. Damian Lillard has the right to be frustrated and is frustrated, and that's why he has put the pressure on the Portland Trailblazers organization to surround him with a better cast. Obviously, CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard, that backcourt tandem, hasn't worked out the way that the Blazers organization thought it would, or Damian Lillard thought it would. And there are flaws with the roster that they've been trotting out there. And if I'm Dame, I'm frustrated with how the Trailblazers have failed to support him with a legitimate supporting cast as well, because I do think that you can win with Damian Lillard, even though he's somewhat of a one-dimensional guard who pours it in offensively, isn't the greatest defensive player in the world, but offensively, this is a guy who can lead you to a championship, yet He just hasn't had the pieces around him, the complementary guys to support him, to lift him up so that they can make consistent deep runs in the playoffs. He's a multi-time All-Star. He doesn't have an MVP, although you can make the argument he should. Really, the one thing missing from Dame's resume, it's an NBA championship. That's what he wants, and he realizes it hasn't been happening in Portland, and the possibilities of it happening in the future, somewhat bleak. That's why he's frustrated.
I just don't understand how you look at this logically if you're Lillard and you say, yeah, I still think it can happen here. The best player they've had in his tenure is CJ McCollum, who's a nice player, but they don't fit together because they get absolutely torched defensively. Yeah. It doesn't mean that they don't work together offensively. They actually do work pretty well, even though they're kind of both isolation scorers. But I think he's kind of getting wasted. I mean, that's the question queued up right there. You guys feel free to weigh in. I just, is this I'm trying to find it now. Is this Dan Marino, where he's arguably the best at his position for over a decade and just nothing to show for it other than big stats? I think he's entering that territory. At least Marino went to a Super Bowl. Lillard has made a conference finals once, and he got swept, and it wasn't competitive against Golden State. If he's not going to request out, shouldn't they trade CJ McCollum and try another sidekick? I don't get this just running it back year in and year out. You change coaches, but that's not enough. We know this is a players' league. So if I'm Damian Lillard, I either want out or I want to trade CJ. And that's nothing against CJ, but that's just the way it is. You're not keeping CJ over Dame. So I would either request a trade. I would do that. But if you're not, it's sneaky, but I would say y'all got to trade CJ. You got to get someone else in there.
And we hinted at this earlier. I think what Damian Lillard does is he says, hey, I'm going to stay loyal and remain loyal to Portland, right? And he posts that on Instagram to make Trailblazers fans happy so that they're not breathing down his neck right now. Of course, he's a loyal guy, and he's exemplified that throughout his career. But I think the play here for Dame and what's kind of going through his mind is obviously he's very frustrated, and he has openly questioned his future with those inside his circle. Otherwise, these reports wouldn't be coming out about him potentially requesting a trade, and that formal trade request never happened. But are the Trailblazers right now, going into 2021-2022, better than they were last year when they flamed out and lost in the first round of the playoffs? They didn't do anything to bulk up this team or make this roster better. They brought in Zeller. They brought in Norman Powell. They brought in Tony Snell and Dennis Smith Jr. Of course, they have Robert Covington, who's a really good 3-and-D guy, and CJ McCollum, who could go off for 25, 30 points a night, but they can't play defense other than Covington. And, Nurkic is okay as a defensive player as well as he continues to come back from that catastrophic leg injury. But I just don't think the Blazers are that much better now than they were. So
I think they're worse.
If I'm Dame, I'm trying to not delay the inevitable, I would have requested a trade already to try to go to a championship contender now rather than waste half of this season.
Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. If Dame gets traded, we will certainly cover it here on Chat Sports. More NBA news and rumors, of course, so subscribe. But look, you lose Melo. Say what you want about Melo. He's better than any player you brought in. Who would you rather have, Melo or Dennis Smith? Melo. Who would you rather have?
He's a 40% three-point
Melo
shooter
or Cody Zeller? Melo. No one they got is better than Melo, and Melo wasn't exactly enough as a number 3 or 4 option either. So I don't think Portland is attractable as an organization, despite Dame being there. It's a small market. People don't want to play there. I don't see this working out, and I think within a month of the trade deadline, this is going to heat back up because I don't think the Blazers are going to make the playoffs this year. The West got stronger while the Blazers, at best, are similar to what they were. I think this is going downhill quickly. There's a lot of drama around the Chauncey Billups hire as well. I just, I'm passionate about this. I think he should request out, and who would fault him for doing so? Let's be honest.
Here's this, too. Damian Lillard cares about his brand. That's why he puts his raps out there, and he's a fantastic rapper, by the way. He's got some serious bars, and he can spit. He cares about his image. He cares about his brand. And as he's been tucked away and hidden in the Pacific Northwest, his brand and the spreading of it has kind of been limited, and it hasn't been maximized to the fullest capability compared to if he went to a New York City or a Philadelphia or a Los Angeles or a Miami. I think he's thirsty for that, and I think he's intrigued by the idea of going to a mega media market because he knows that his personal following and his personal brand, which is massive right now in the United States, could become a worldwide brand.
Just real quick, and one more time, let us know if you think he should request a trade. 2 teams I think make the most sense, Knicks and Sixers. Get him with Joel Embiid. That's a dynamic 1-2 punch. Get him in Madison Square Garden.
Hey,
that would be absolutely
Mecca.
electric.
Be
Let us
going
know
wild.
if you think he should request a trade. Chase and I both believe he should. Like I said, if he does, we will cover it here on Chat Sports. All right, let's get to some comments here. Let's see. Mute the bozo, implying that the Blazers can never win a title. That implies that the game is fixed. It's not fixed, but look at the history of the NBA, especially I'll just say the last 2 decades. Who are winning titles? The only small market team that is San Antonio,
Milwaukee.
and that's Milwaukee, but they have a generational talent. And how aggressive were they on the trade market? You don't see Portland doing that. Them being aggressive was getting Nurkic 2 years ago, and that has not worked out that well. Yeah, Milwaukee said, "Yeah, we'll trade 4 firsts. Let's get Drew Holiday. We'll give Chris Middleton the max, even though he's probably not a max guy. Although maybe he proved us wrong in the playoffs. The Blazers haven't been that aggressive. They've kind of just been hanging out."
Yeah, no, and I want to get to this question, or this answer, I should say, this comment from AZN Pikachu 215. He says, at this point, Dame doesn't care about his legacy. He cares about Portland.
And that's fine.
I think he does care about his legacy, though. I do think that he feels as though he'd be a fraud if he were to demand a trade before it got really bad, because then fans will respond to that by saying, you said you were going to be loyal to Portland. You said you're anti-super team. You just went against everything that you said.
Yeah, and I get that, but they've failed him as an organization. It's one thing to demand it's one thing to pull a James Harden.
Yeah.
Hey, I want
show up 25 pounds overweight.
I want Chris Paul. You have him. I want Russ. You have him. Okay, trade me.
Yeah.
That Dame hasn't gotten any guys in there, No. I think the preferred outcome for him is get guys in here I can win with, but they haven't done that. Like a guy like Harden, they gave him guy after guy in Houston, and he just couldn't get the job done. So I do think there is a difference there. We'll get to this one as well. Honest Laker fan, too expensive to trade Lillard to another team. Dude, it's the NBA.
We see superstar trades all the time.
Guys, John Wall got traded last year, and he makes $44 million, and he's broken at this point. Russ just got traded with $44 million. He can get traded.
Al Horford got traded.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
twice.
It happens all of the time. We're going to try to get to some of your questions, but it's kind of up to you. So use #chat, or you can super chat, ask us about the NBA, the NFL.
The super chat menu too.
You can even you can ask about anything. It can be non-sports related. We're just trying to have some fun. It's the classic Ask Me Anything Q&A. So get your questions in. And by the way, we do have a super chat menu. So if you super chat, this is what's on display today.
$1 super chat, we give you a shout out. $5 super chat, that's a little beer cheer. Sometimes we include liquor into the equation as well. $20 super chat, producer Jeremy will take a shot right here on screen. And for a $50 super chat, I mean, I'm not scared. I already cracked this Yingling beer, America's oldest brewery, shout out, but I'll shotgun a beer for
What
a $50
is that
super
photo
chat.
of the shot?
It's a shotgun.
Is that just a shotgun?
Yeah.
Is it a shotgun and a beer? What's
It's
the
a
gray
shotgun
part?
and a beer.
Oh,
Marshall
okay.
Green had put that together earlier
Oh, I
this
haven't
week.
seen that one. Classic Marsh. That's good stuff. So #chat or super chat. We'll answer as many of your guys' questions as we can. Appreciate what you guys are doing. By the way, some things coming up here on the show. We're going to dive back into some football with our college football picks of the week. We'll run through the top 5 or 6 matchups, and then Chase and I each have an upset pick at the end of that, so stay tuned. We'll get into some stuff around the Lakers. Are they too old to win a title? Is Ben Simmons going to get traded? All of that and more coming up later on in the show, so stay tuned for that. It's live Q&A time here on our brand new show, Harrison Graham and Chase Sr., and this is really simple. We're 2 dudes that like sports and like drinking beer. Ask us questions and we'll answer them. It's as simple as that.
Always down to chop it up.
Hey, we're chopping it up, sports or otherwise. So go ahead and get those questions in right now. Better Bob kicking things off. Is this Vulgaris? #chat. Name an NFL team that could go from first to worst in their division. This is a good one.
I got one for you, and it's because of all of the unfortunate injury issues that have popped up over the last couple of weeks. I'm not sure I've seen a team and an organization get ravaged by injuries in such a short amount of time like the Baltimore Ravens had.
It's been rough.
J.K. Dobbins, and then today as we record this during our live show on Thursday, looks as though Gus Edwards, who is going to be his replacement, is going down potentially with a torn ACL. Marcus Marcus Peters may have torn his ACL as well. At the very least, seems as though he suffered an injury during practice on Thursday leading up to that Monday Night Football matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders. I think the Ravens are a team that could go from competing for the top of the AFC North last year to falling to last place. I know they didn't win the AFC North last year, but so many people expect them to be Super Bowl contenders, and I think they could finish last in their division potentially.
If Cincinnati takes a step, Lamar Jackson, 31-8 as a starter. We'll see if he has something to say about that. A potential take is that's a tough division. SM here, hashtag chat. What week will Justin Fields take over?
Take this one, my man.
You know,
host of Chicago Bears now here on Chat
the
Sports.
trendy game is Week 4 against Detroit because the Lions stink, and it's at home, bad defense. You can get him in there against a team that's not very good. I have no problem playing him Week 1, but that's not going to happen. You know, I think that it's as simple as when they don't feel like Andy Dalton is getting the job done, you make the change. And you know, honestly, you probably should have gone with Fields from the beginning. I think there was a promise made from Matt Nagy to Andy Dalton when they signed him, and so they're giving him that opportunity.
We're giving you $10 million this year, and we guarantee you're going to be our starter. To start the season at least.
And he is.
Also, they didn't have Justin Fields at that time.
O-line, exactly. O-line question marks. You're playing Aaron Donald in Week 1. Hey, let's see what happens if he falls on his face. Maybe Fields starts Week 2 against Cincinnati. That's also a team that you can score some points on. I think at the latest, Week 6. I think he will be the starting quarterback by Week 6 in the NFL season. Scuba Steve with the super chat. Cheers, my man.
Cheers,
$5 equals a drink of beer. I'll drink mine in a second. How does someone apply for a Chat Sports career opportunity? I'll tell you what. We don't have his Twitter handle on screen. At James Yoder on Twitter. He might get pissed at me for this, but you know what?
Slide in his DMs.
Slide in the DMs. I'm pretty sure they're open. At James Yoder on Twitter and be like, hey, man, I'm interested. And can't make any promises, but he's the boss man here. So
it's fun to work here. That's for damn sure.
It is. We drink beer and we talk sports. So it's an absolutely fantastic job. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Nick Fury here, hashtag chat. Make sure you guys are using that to get your questions in. What's your Seahawks season win-loss prediction? Then what is your ceiling win-loss and floor win-loss? Without looking at the schedule in front of me, I'll go 11-6 for Seattle. I think the ceiling is probably 12-13. The floor is probably like 8-9. This is just, they have some question marks, but they have for years, and Russell Wilson is able to overcome them. I think this is a 10-11 win team.
Everybody loves to focus on how the Seahawks went out in the first round of the playoffs, how they really didn't play well in the final month or two of the regular season, which was true because that offense fell off a cliff, and after they were pass happy and had success with Russell Wilson, who was having an MVP campaign throughout the first month or two of the season, they decided to revert back to running the football, and that's why you saw a change at the offensive coordinator spot with Shane Waldron now being the OC there. I think the Seahawks, who were 12-4 last year, are still going to be able to win 10 to 12 games. Here's the issue, though. I think it really comes down to injuries in the NFC West because that division is an absolute gauntlet. You have the Seahawks, the Rams, and the 49ers. All three teams wouldn't surprise me if they made it to the Super Bowls. The Cardinals last year finished 8-8 and were a surprise team. I do think they're the worst team in the NFC West this year. So it could come down to a simple thing of just who is healthiest out of that division. And the Seahawks could win 10 to 12 games and still not win the NFC West. But I think with Russell Wilson at the helm, 10 to 12 wins is where I'm pegging them in at.
Fans back in the stadiums will help Seattle because that is one of the toughest road environments in the NFL. If you love the NFL, type me in the comments. Hey, Week 1 is here. It's fantastic. If you love the NFL as much as Chase and I do, make sure you're spamming me down in the comment section. We would greatly appreciate it. Let's shift over to NBA, by the way, because this is an Ask Me Anything mailbag. Hashtag chat. Do you think Myers Leonard will ever get a second chance in the NBA? I'll tell you what, man. You know, I think sometimes, and I got to be careful here, I think sometimes we go too far in trying to bury someone for making a mistake.
Yeah.
This is a pretty big one, though, and it's not a great one, and he already did not have a great track record. If you don't know the story, just Google it. We're not going to dissect what he said here.
Anti-Semitic comments on Twitch is basically what he did.
You just got to know better. You're live on Twitch. It would be like us live on YouTube saying something like that. If I did that, I'd probably never do another show.
Look,
I mean, that's just the reality.
You got to know your place when you're a bench player, you know? I'm not a Harrison Graham. I'm not a Chase Senior. I can't say certain things.
That's
Producer
Jeremy. It's a good point, though. If Tom Brady says that, he's probably still has a job. But if Blaine Gabbert says it, he doesn't have a job.
Here's the thing. Will Myers Leonard get a second chance in the NBA? I think the answer to that could be no, but it's because he's a scrub and he's not that good of a player, and he was getting way overpaid last year, in addition to the baggage that he now has with saying what he said on that Twitch live stream. Let me say this, too, about this whole situation. I am anti-cancel culture. I think everybody deserves a second chance. I don't think anybody should be taken down and fired from their respective jobs because of a comment that they made on social media when they were frickin' 14, 15 years old. That stuff really bothers me. But if you're an NBA
He's
player
a grown man.
live on Twitch, you're making millions of dollars. First of all, you're making millions. You shouldn't be playing
Let me add
video
this. You're
games.
playing in the most...
And also, you're on a Twitch live stream making a comment like that. You're just stupid.
And you're playing in the most diverse professional sports league in the world. You're just an idiot, and I don't feel bad for you if you don't get
Can we
chance.
cancel culture?
I would love to. But for Myers Leonard, it's like, how are you such a dope?
Hey, man. You know what I always say? You know, actions have consequences, and that was certainly a bad action from him. We'll shift forward here. Bullet Doggy Aaron. Thoughts on the Golden State Warriors? We'll stay with the NBA here. I think we both wanted them to try to make a splashy move, you know, trade their draft picks, you know, try and go get a Bradley Beal or something, but that move didn't seem to be out there. It really didn't.
They didn't want to part with their two high lottery picks at 7 and 14. And I think what the thought process was from Bob Myers and the rest of this organization was, okay, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, all probably on the back 9 of their careers, right? So we need a bridge from that big three to the next generation. And if we get the Jonathan Kuminga pick right and he develops fast, and we get the Moses Moody pick right, we still have guys like Jordan Poole. We can compete right now for NBA titles, or at least a Western Conference crown, while also bridging into the future. So I think with the healthy Klay Thompson, Golden State could finish top 5 in the West, and that's not a slight on the Warriors. That's just goes to show like how loaded the Western Conference is going to be this year.
You basketball fans, let us know what your favorite team is down in the comments. We'll go to Alberto next here. If they redid this year's NFL draft as we shift back to football here, do you think the Niners would still take Lance or go with Fields? I still think they'd take Lance. We haven't even seen a game yet, right?
I think you also add Mac Jones into the equation as well now that he's become the Week 1 starter for the New England Patriots. Look, we knew that Trey Lance was going to be raw. If you're surprised that he doesn't look ready to play right now, then you're just flat out uninformed. He was 20 years old when he got drafted out of North Dakota State. He played 1 game last year in a COVID-shortened season. He played 1 full season of FCS football, and throughout his entire collegiate career, he attempted only a little bit more than 300 passes. The athleticism is there. The mental acumen is there. The character is there. I think his dual threat ability could take Kyle Shanahan's offense to the next level. The Niners, as an organization, are in the best spot possible because if Trey Lance isn't ready to play, which he's not, you don't have to play him. You can go with Jimmy Garoppolo, who helped lead you to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. And then once Trey Lance is ready to go, that's when you play him, kind of like a Patrick Mahomes, Alex Smith approach.
I will say this: Fields going at 11 is an absolute joke.
Oh, it's a steal.
It's one of the
Great
weirdest things ever. How these weird like stories of he's not a good teammate. All this stuff started circulating before the draft. It's very bizarre. Should have been a top 5 pick, but I still think the Niners would have taken Lance. One more on this mailbag. If you're watching live, we'll answer some more questions later. SM: which rookie quarterback will have the better season, Lawrence or Wilson? This might surprise you. I'm going to go Zach Wilson. Do not be surprised if Trevor Lawrence, his rookie year, looks like the worst of the rookies. I'm not saying the Jets are in a good situation because they're not, but the Jags are disastrous.
Yeah.
This might be the worst roster outside of the Texans in the NFL. It's bad.
It's pretty bad, and the Jets are bereft of talent as well, especially in the secondary, where
The receivers
they don't have any premier players.
I kind of like their skill talent, though, for Wilson. The O-line's a little better. Becton at left tackle. The Jags O-line, man.
The only reason why I go against you is because Zach Wilson is in a much better division against much better coaches, and Bill Belichick, Sean McDermott, and Brian Flores. So that's the only reason why I'll go against that and say Trevor Lawrence.
Appreciate all the questions and subscribe if you haven't already. Shout out your city and let us know where you guys are watching from. Also, after this, I want to revisit the live poll, Jeremy. So let's go back to that list 4 and get some input on that. But we'll get some shout outs here on letting us know where you guys are watching from. And we'll have some fun here. Let's see. Beto Sanchez is in Amarillo, Texas. L2, as always, is in the UK. He's a loyal Bears Now watcher. Appreciate that, L2. Let's see. Joshua says, I think Ben Simmons would be a great addition. Not sure who he's talking about. Let's see. A couple more coming in here. We are here in Dallas, Texas, of course, as well. Got over 100 people watching live. Appreciate you guys for hanging with us. Chase and I launching this brand new show. It's still nameless, by the way. We do have some show name ideas, which we'll get to in a second.
Picking over at the live poll, too.
Yes. Scuba Steve says Missoula, Montana. Love it. Richie's in Tongan. We got SM and SoCal being represented all over the place. These are the 4 show name ideas, Chase. And the leader in the clubhouse, not only from the audience, but I think within the office as well, is Any Given Thursday. But we didn't want to commit. We wanted you guys to have some input because Chase and I, we just want this show to be loose. We want to shoot the shit, sports and otherwise, and we want to have some fun. That's essentially what the show is, and we, of course, still want your interaction and input. So go vote on the live poll. These are the 4 options. Also, type 1, 2, 3, or 4. If you like Any Given Thursday, type 1 because the show will be on Thursdays. If you like Shoot or Shoot, type 2. If you like The Last Word, type 3. If you like It's Almost Friday, go ahead and type 4. How would you power rank these? If we had to pick this second, how would you rank them?
You know what's funny is that I can guarantee of the more than 100 people watching live right now, they're like, these bums, they couldn't come up with a show name. What are they thinking?
It's easier said than done, let me tell you.
Easier said than done, but also we're all about the audience interaction here at Chat Sports, and that's what separated us, and that's why we have almost 270,000 subscribers. We drink beers, we keep it a buck, and we break it down. But the power rankings for me as of now, Harrison, I like Any Given Thursday and Shoot or Shoot. Those are the 2.
I think so, too.
It's Almost Friday has a really good vibe, so I can see why you type your 4. But if I'm putting in my votes, I'm typing my 1 or 2.
I like The Last Word is the end of the show, is like the last segment.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like it as the whole show name.
Like a send-off segment or something.
Yeah, and you know, that's being represented in the poll. Over 120 votes, 44%.
Izzy World saying wet. Whatever Thursday.
Whatever Thursday. Shoot or Shoot at 23%. Last Word at 9%. It's Almost Friday at 24%. If you have any other show name ideas, let us know. L2 says 2. Beto says 2. Richie says 4. Bullet says 1 or 4. SM says 1. WET Whatever Thursday. I like it, man. I kind of like that. That's kind of funny.
You're watching Wet.
Get wet here on Chat Sports. Corey Huff says
Sports
2.
Talk has us wet.
That might have to be those might have to be clipped off, by the way. Aiden says 4. Hey, we're gonna continue. We'll ask this at least one more time before the end of the show. We're gonna talk some Lakers basketball coming up for you college football fans. We will get into our picks of the week. We're going to go through the top 5 or 6 matchups and pick them against the spread and otherwise, so stay tuned for that. There's a lot going on with LA right now and what their season could look like, so stay tuned for that. Let's talk about the Los Angeles Lakers here on our brand new Thursday show. It goes live every Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Central Time. Haven't settled on a show name. If you have any ideas, let us know in the comments. I'm Harrison Graham. He is Chase, and I mean, the theme of this show surrounding the Los Angeles Lakers is this idea that the Lakers are too old to win a title next year. Where do you sit on that? There's a lot of to dissect here. This is an old roster, but are you buying into that? Are they too old to win?
I don't think the Lakers are too old to win a championship. In fact, I think what they've done throughout this offseason and during NBA free agency has been very, very smart. I love what Rob Pelinka and LeBron James have done with assembling this roster. And I've said this a couple of times on the Los Angeles Lakers Report, which is our Lakers channel here at Chat Sports, that why I think what they've done is smart is for this reason. They're all in for this year because, Harrison, this year is the only thing that matters. LeBron James is 36 years old. He's going to turn 37 years old in December. Who cares about what this franchise looks like in 2, 3, 4 years? If LeBron and the Lakers are able to win a championship here in the 2021-2022 season, that's all that matters. That adds to his legacy. That gives the Lakers their 18th championship in the history of that illustrious franchise, overtaking the Boston Celtics. So while they might be old from an age standpoint, which they certainly are, I think they're well positioned to make a run at the NBA championship this year. And I think this is a pretty talented roster with a lot of complementary pieces up and down the team. And I think LeBron James is still arguably the second best player in the NBA behind Kevin Durant. So I expect LeBron James to have an MVP caliber season this year, because before he went down with that ankle injury last year, he was putting together a very, very impressive season. We'll look and examine the Lakers' age of this roster coming up here in just a second. But my answer to that question is no, they're not too old to win the title. And while I enjoy some of the humor of people throwing out pictures of LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony looking like a grandpa, which is absolutely hilarious, they have plenty of talent to compete for a title this year. And I think Rob Pelinka deserves a lot of credit for how he's been able to assemble this roster.
Let me say this as clearly as I can. The Lakers will sink or swim with LeBron James. And what do I mean by that? I mean that I agree with Chase in saying that this team isn't too old to win a title. This team doesn't have too many personalities to win a title, too many egos. However, and maybe this is true every year with LeBron, but I think even more so this year, I think LeBron is the most important player in the NBA. If he gets hurt, I think this team loses in the first round. I don't think Russell Westbrook can lead a team. I don't think Anthony Davis can. Both those guys have had the opportunity to be the number one of a franchise, and they haven't really gotten close to getting it done. Neither have won a playoff series as number one options. I guess that 1 year when AD had Boogie, they won one series, I think, and then they lost in the second round. But you could argue Boogie was really a co-pilot in that sense. But I think if LeBron is healthy, he's the glue to maybe go all the way. I think LeBron's health is the difference between winning it all and losing in the first round. And I know, oh, well, that's obvious. That happened last year. But I think it's even more so because you take his leadership and his intangibles and his experience out. I don't think Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis, and insert 3 other guys, that could be a disaster. That might be a team that doesn't make the playoffs if LeBron misses a significant amount of time. So I'm saying this right here, right now. LeBron James is the most important player in the NBA this upcoming season, and I'm not sure it's even close.
And here's the thing, too, with this Lakers roster, and I totally agree with what you said, and that goes to show you that LeBron James is still one of the best players in the NBA, and if he goes down, you're losing an MVP candidate. But it's not like the older players on this roster throughout their careers have been injury-prone. Anthony Davis is really the most brittle player on this roster, and he's 28 years old. And I understand that LeBron James has gone down with injuries in 2 of his 3 seasons with Los Angeles. One of those seasons that he was able to stay healthy, they won the NBA title. But Carmelo Anthony, who's 37 years old, Trevor Ariza is 36, Kent Bazemore 32, AD at 28, Wayne Ellington 33, Marc Gasol at 36, Talen Horton-Tucker is the young gun at 20, Dwight Howard is 35, LeBron James is 36, Wesley Matthews, if he comes back, 34, Malik Monk 23, Kendrick Nunn 26, Rajon Rondo 35, and Russell Westbrook at 32. Name me a player on that list of guys who has consistently gone down with brittle injury issues. That's why I don't think that injuries are going to be a massive concern, and that's why I'm not kind of panicking about their age going into the season, because I understand the thought process that LeBron and Pelinka have. Their thought process is, we're going all in for this year, and the way that this roster is comprised, they have the opportunity to win yet another ring this year with this current makeup.
Make sure you guys are answering the question down below. Are the Lakers too old to win the championship this year? I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor of today's show. That, of course, is BetUS. Got more discussion on this topic in just a second. But the NFL is back, and you can go bet on whatever games you want to. For you Laker fans, we have a specific promo code for you guys. If you go to chatsports.com/Lakers, plug in the promo code Lakers Lakers 125. You can get 125% deposit bonus. Put down $100, get 125 for free. Go bet on LeBron for MVP. Those MVP odds are out. I think he's plus 1,200 last time I checked. Pretty good odds for a guy who I think is going to come back in a major, major way after missing the playoffs last year. Chatsports.com/Lakers. Use that promo code Lakers125. Answer the question of the day for us. Are the Lakers too old to win the title? You definitely say no. I don't think they are, but I do think we'll see a lot of load management for this reason. I think Frank Vogel knows that this is an aging roster, and he's going to have to handle this very, very strategically.
Which is totally fine, because let's say LeBron wants a night off. Anthony Davis maybe goes down with a lingering issue, or some of these older players on the roster do want to rest. You have Russell Westbrook, who barely misses a game, and he gives it 110% night in, night out, and you can count on him for 82 regular season games to go all in. But also, there's a blend and a combination of some of these older guys, but also young players who you can rely on during the regular season, not necessarily the playoffs, to shoulder some of that load if those older players do want to sit out. I'm okay with giving Malik Monk 10 to 15 shots coming off a season in which he connected on nearly 40% of his three-point attempts. I want to see more from the 20-year-old Talen Horton-Tucker. Kendrick Nunn has shown so far in his NBA career that any given night he can chime in with 15 to 20 points. So that's why I like how this roster has been comprised and put together, is because of course you have LeBron, who's 36, and he's been in the league since 2003 in that same draft class as Carmelo Anthony, who's now 37 years old. But if they want to take nights off, you have guys who can spell them, and it's not like Wayne Ellington at 33 years old is just totally washed. So you have a combination of a ball handler, rim attacker in Russell Westbrook, who's not a great shooter, but you surround him with a Wayne Ellington and a Malik Monk, a guy who can drain threes. LeBron James can guard all five positions and do so much offensively. Anthony Davis has positional versatility. So there's so many different lineup options that Frank Vogel has at his disposal to go with his starters and his bench units as well.
I think when it comes down to it, Chase, is the Lakers don't care about the future. I mean,
that was my point.
That's essentially what it was. Now, I think they realized they made a mistake when they didn't trade for Kyle Lowry.
Should have.
At least they kept THT, because that was the, if you didn't re-sign him, then what was the point in not trading for Lowry? But I think all these moves signal one thing, is LeBron knows the clock is ticking. So he wants to win as many titles as he can. He may feel like he only has a 1 or 2 year window to still do this at a high level. So they're going all in this year, and you got to respect that, right? I mean, as a sports fan, what do you want? You want to be in the mix every year. The Lakers are in the mix just about every year. So,
and the West is wide open too, Harrison.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And, I mean, Vegas believes they're going to be in the mix as well, just right behind the Brooklyn Nets. And, again, if LeBron's healthy, they're the team to beat in the West. Maybe the team to beat in the NBA. It's as simple as that. Again, you can go bet on the Lakers to win the title with BetUS, chatsports.com/Lakers. But, this is an interesting basketball season coming up, because last year, funky, you get the Bucks and the Suns in the finals, Chase. The Lakers get hurt. They're not in the mix. LeBron goes down. AD misses time. All this stuff happens. All this free agency, all this movement across the NBA. I think the East has gotten stronger.
And if AD doesn't go down,
what happens?
The Lakers beat the Suns in the first round, and the Suns are the eventual NBA champion runner-up. I think you could make that argument that the Lakers, if they beat the Suns, which other team, when the Lakers were healthy, is taking down the Lakers in the playoffs in the West? I don't think there was one out there.
They're the team to beat in the West.
Because LeBron James was hobbled too, but still balling.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. We love talking the Lakers here at Chat Sports. If you want to subscribe to our Lakers channel, it's youtube.com/LakersTV. Chase, season's less than 2 months away. It's about 5 weeks away.
NBA training camp tipping off September 28th.
Only
a couple weeks away.
Buckle up, baby. We're going to have you guys covered on the Lakers at youtube.com/LakersTV. Let's get to some more comments here. Kristen, Luka will eliminate the Lakers. The Mavs don't have enough to beat a fully healthy Lakers team.
No.
They just don't.
No. They're top heavy. I think Luka could average around 30 points per game this year.
We saw that against the Clippers.
But that's not a deep enough roster to take down Los Angeles.
No. Dr. D. Saturday White, is this I don't know what this is reference to. Russell will carry them in the regular season. That's been a popular theme.
That's
of,
what I said,
hey,
too.
LeBron, we'll give you nights off. AD, some of these other vets. Russ, go play 75 games, and we're just going to, have you carry us, especially on load management nights. Oh, we got some show name ideas from Cheryl. The Thursday Pace with Harrison and Chase.
It's a good rhyme there, Cheryl.
I don't mind it.
I see you spitting.
Okay, Cheryl, you hanging out with Dame Lillard because you're spitting some bars right there. That's a good one. Here's another one from Kristen. Chasing Grammix
Chasing Grammix Sports Talks.
Chasing Grammix Sports Talks. Okay. I like the other one a little better, but I appreciate the input.
Yeah, appreciate that contribution there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. One more here, GFam. Upcoming Lakers season will not age very well.
Well done. Some humor there.
That's good. You had me for a second.
We see you.
And then Chris Lopez, will the Clips be a contender?
I think so.
If Kawhi comes back at some point, yes. I don't think they can win a title without him, though. So,
I don't
but
think so
even
either.
if he just shows up for the playoffs, I don't know if he's going to. He might miss the whole season, but I think they'll be in the mix without him, but I don't think they can win a championship with him. So that is the best way I'd describe that. Let's take a look at Thursday Night Football real quick before we jump into our next topic. If you're watching, for those of you watching live, season's underway. NFL gets going tonight. So who you got in week one? Type DAL for the Dallas Cowboys. Type TB for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The juices are flowing, Chase. When I woke up on Saturday morning and college football was back, I was like, man, you get that smell in the air. You got people barbecuing and stuff like that.
Dude.
There's just nothing like football season, and now the NFL is underway.
I woke up this morning, and we were joking about this earlier in the Chat Sports offices in our group thread when somebody had said, classic, it's football is back. There's a football game tonight. NFL football returning tonight. It was all over Twitter and Instagram. But honestly, when I woke up this morning, a part of me just wanted to tweet that because my excitement was so high.
It's true,
for
man.
Cowboys, Bucks, and then a full slate on Sunday.
Oh.
which
Nobody needs to
we'll
say
be
that
covering
football
here.
is back.
Hey,
But football is back.
Nobody needs to say football is back because everybody else is saying it. But on my Twitter feed, I just kind of wanted to say the football is back.
Yeah, you know what? I can't fault you on that because
I was just so
now
excited. I
if you
couldn't
do
help
it if you do
myself.
it for when baseball comes back, I might have to slight you on that. But when football's back, it's just different, man.
Throw out that picture of you playing Little League as a kid.
Yeah,
Major League Baseball. It's back.
I don't
baby.
need that button that that your your aunt had on her jacket when she was watching you tee it up when you were 7. I just I don't need any of that. You know those little buttons with the headshots.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
I got. There's a couple of those hanging out at my parents' house still. I can get a couple shout-outs here. L2 says Tampa. SM says Tampa. L2 says, I love Harrison and Chase. Appreciate that.
Thanks, man.
Guy is rolling with it. Liz Bastook, Harrison is funny. Then Chat Sports is funny. Hey, if you're too serious in life, it's just not fun. No. I mean, that's just what it comes down to.
Got to keep it light.
So appreciate you guys weighing in. NFL gets going tonight, so it should be fun. Let's talk a little college football. We'll stick with the football theme here, but we'll dip down to the college ranks. Week 2 of the college football season is here. Chase and I are going to go through some of the top matchups in Week 2. Break them down a little bit and then make some picks against the spread as well, so it should be fun. We'll kick things off with Big Noon Kickoff with Joel Klatt, Gus Johnson. You know he's going to have some calls on the game. Oh, the Ducks, the Buckeyes. Wow, C.J. Stroud. It's going to be lit in Columbus as they host the Oregon Ducks. Top 15 matchup here. How about Ohio State? 14.5-point favorites after beating Minnesota just by 14 last week. The Ducks snuck by Fresno State, who's actually a sneaky good Group of 5 team right now. Should be a fun matchup in Columbus.
So I'm kind of intrigued by Oregon because so many people are down on the Ducks because they're like, oh my gosh, they only snuck by Fresno State. Fresno State is a really good football team.
They can play.
And I'm not really too confident in Ohio State covering that 14.5-point number. I thought C.J. Stroud in that first half on the road against Minnesota, hostile environment, hadn't really dealt with a crowd like that because hasn't had that experience at the college level. He was a little bit shaky. Then he settled in that second half. I'll tell you this about Ohio State. That receiving core is just unbelievable. And sometimes guys just stick out and you're like, that's a pro. That was Chris Olave for me against Minnesota. He just looked like a pro, and he popped because of his explosion after the catch. I expect him to have a big game. Wouldn't surprise me one iota, though, if the Ducks can cover the 2-touchdown line.
I like the Buckeyes, but by about 10. 14.5 is too much. Anthony Brown at quarterback can make enough plays to keep this one interesting. I'll tell you what, another player on that Buckeyes offense, Travion Henderson, the freshman running back, he took that swing pass to the crib about 70 yards. The dudes Ohio State has offensively is just off the chain. I'm a little questionable on their defense. They have a lot to...
Thibodeau has to play, right, for the Ducks to have a chance?
He was in a walking boot at the end of last week's game, so that's not ideal. We both like the Buckeyes, but if you're a betting man, give me the Ducks to cover 14.5 on the road at Ohio State. Should be a fun game, noon Eastern kickoff. Let's go to our next matchup here, a former Big 12 matchup. Now we got SEC Pac-12. Texas A&M minus 17 on the road at Colorado, who was a good team last year, started off 1-0 again this year. Redshirt freshman quarterback Haynes King, Chase, 3 picks against Kent State in his opener. Now, he made a lot of good throws, but that's a little dicey. You go into Boulder, it can get a little rowdy in that stadium. I don't know if you've ever, if you've watched a lot of their games there. For big matchups, they show up.
No doubt.
It's a former kind of rivalry in the Big 12. Don't be shocked that the Buffs keep this one close.
Look, Texas entering the season with so many lofty expectations. Texas A&M, excuse me, entering the season with so many lofty expectations because of what they did last year, that lone loss to Alabama. But other than that, they had a really impressive season last year, and the pressure was on Jimbo Fisher for that team to perform, and they certainly did that. But I think they really miss Kellen Mond. He's no longer obviously the quarterback for Texas A&M, and at halftime, in front of a packed house last week at home, they're leading Kent State only 10-3. I think a lot of people were sweating, they were quaking in their boots, and then they end up winning that game, going on a run to end it 41-10. 17 points, though, that's a fat number. And you make a good point in saying that Colorado atmosphere can be pretty lit.
You got the altitude as well. Don't underplay that game early in the season. I like the Buffs to cover, man. Look, the pressure's on Jimbo Fisher. He just got a massive extension after already being a top 5 highest paid coach in the country. Now he's the second highest paid behind Nick Saban. He's paid to go blow out teams like Colorado. I don't see it, though. I think this is, a 10 to 13 point game. I like the Buffaloes to cover. They play a little bit of defense. I think they'll slow this game down, and this is going to be a real environment for redshirt freshman quarterback Haynes King. I'm not going to pick the upset, but I think Colorado keeps this game pretty close. I'll pick A&M straight up, but I think against the spread, I think 17 is way too big. And by the way, for each of these matchups, let us know who you like in each game. You can type T for Texas A&M, C for Colorado, for example. We're making our picks. We want you guys to make your picks with us as well. You with me? You like the Buffs to cover here?
I kind of like Colorado.
17 is huge in a Power 5 matchup, man.
Number.
That's a huge number between two Power 5 opponents. How about this one? Cy-Hawk, the Cyclones and the Hawkeyes. This rivalry is back. This line is confusing to me, Chase. I know they're at home, but if you look at the history of the Matt Campbell era at Iowa State, they start extraordinarily slow, like a snail. You get them into October, they take off. They win 6 of 8 down the stretch, whatever. Iowa has owned this series in recent years, and they're getting 4.5 on the road. I get it's a road game, but Iowa State struggled against Northern Iowa last week. Now, I'm not overreacting to that because Campbell does this every year. He struggles early on in the year, but it's early on still. I like Iowa not only to win or to cover, but to win straight up. I think the Hawkeyes win this game at Iowa State for the reasons I just mentioned. Iowa State starts slow religiously. They do get Charlie Kolar back at tight end, who was out last week, but 2 pick sixes for Iowa last week against Michael Penix Jr. I was pretty disappointed in Indiana, but I was more impressed with what Iowa did in that matchup. Tough to play a conference opponent in week 1, and they drilled Indiana. I like the Hawkeyes winning this one straight up, not just against the spread.
What Tom Allen did last year with Indiana was fantastic, and I still think that Indiana is going to be a very good team here in 2021.
Agreed.
The credit goes to Iowa for how they were just able to dump truck Indiana. They were ready to go, and they're a really good football team, and I think a lot of people are sleeping on the Hawkeyes mostly because of last year.
Yep.
So you look at last year's schedule. Iowa opens up the season losing to Purdue.
0-2.
They lose the following week to number 14 Northwestern. Then they go on a tear. And I think that momentum has carried into this season. And this is my favorite pick of the week, Iowa plus 4.5. But after those 2 losses to start the season, they beat Michigan State 49-7. They dump truck Minnesota 35-7. They just completely crush Penn State 41-21. They take down Nebraska 26-20. Nebraska, a bunch of scrubs. They beat Illinois 35-21. And then they end the season taking down Wisconsin 28-7. And I think
impressive.
that momentum, as I mentioned,
Carried over.
built up last year, carried over into this year. You saw it in week 1 against Indiana. I think it continues in this in-state rivalry.
I've never been the biggest Kirk Ferentz guy. He's been the Iowa head coach forever, but he's a steady presence. They're always solid. They're never great, but maybe this is the year they break through and win 10-plus games. More games to break down, and hey, I'm going to make some money this weekend. I made some last weekend. I went
Penn State plus 6. My goodness. Easy money.
Went 3-2 last week. Feeling good about it. Going to do it again this week. Make some money with BetUS. Chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code chat125. That'll get you a 125% deposit bonus. Pick what we're picking, man. The Hawkeyes, it's the money of the week. Bet Moneyline Iowa. That's where you can get some big money this week as a 4.5-point dog. Get it done. By the way, the easiest money last week was Army plus 2.5. That line was a joke. They won by like 40. Chatsports.com/bet. Go make some money throughout the college football season. Again, that promo code chat125 to get a 125% deposit bonus. Okay, we're going to jump to our next matchup here, and that is Texas against Arkansas, Chase. This is interesting to me, and this is one of those because -7, by the way, and I want to give some of my points, and then I want to try and figure this out.
You're a local Texan.
What did I say? I've watched 200 Texas football
games. Your pops
games.
played there, let's be real.
We had season tickets as a kid. I went to TCU. I wouldn't call myself a fan. I'm not a fan anymore. I don't mind Texas, but I am a Horned Frog. This feels weird to me, though, but for this reason. Texas in their season opener against a good Louisiana team, they completely were in control. That game was never in doubt. They won by 3 scores. Arkansas, on the flip side, struggled with Rice for 3 quarters. They pulled away late and actually covered, winning by about 20. But there was a clear gap between Texas and Arkansas if you watch their 2 teams in week 1. So Texas only being a 1-touchdown favorite here, and we'll open the floor back up to you, Chase, as well, and we can talk back and forth on this one. Is this one of those where Vegas is trapping me? They just know more than we do. Like, to me, this is a team, if you're Texas, you go beat Arkansas by 17 to 20 points.
Right.
Like, there's no reason to not go into Fayetteville and dominate this game.
But I feel like this is one of those classic games,
trap game,
where it's not necessarily a trap game because I think Texas is going to win, but so many people watch what Texas did and they expect them to carry that momentum into this week 2 game against Arkansas. Arkansas was pretty solid last year.
They were
under
good
Sam
last year.
Pittman.
They were
were
competitive.
so much improved, and they're a competitive team. But because of how Texas performed last week against a pretty good Louisiana
they just have some
team,
dudes, man.
Everybody is probably smashing Texas -7 because they think that Texas football is back. I'm pumping the brakes a little bit. I love what Steve Sarkisian has brought to the table. What were you about to say?
Well, this isn't me going Sam Ehlinger. We're back, baby. I'm not saying Texas is a national title contender. I'm saying that after one game, you can already tell how much better coach this team is. That's not even a question.
That's the point I was going to make.
A Tom Herman team would go lose to Arkansas after beating Louisiana.
Look.
But Sark is so much more in control, at least it appears, through one game.
Impressive win against a very well-coached and ranked Louisiana team, but let's not overrate and overhype Texas. I think they're good. I think they're worthy of being a top 25 team. I think the impact of Steve Sarkisian was seen and felt because they look like a better coach team that was much more organized, and they have a couple of really good players. I mean, Jordan Whittington last week looked like an NFL player playing with high school
Bijan
kids.
Robinson.
And I think across the board, Sarkisian already has recruited well, and you're just kind of seeing the brand name power of Texas work because they just have dudes across the roster. It's just, for them, they need to be better coached.
We got to jump.
And they are.
We got to jump to the next game, and you guys can predict the score. I think Texas covers. Now maybe I'm falling into the trap. I don't know.
I'm not touching it.
I just think that if Texas wants to prove that they're different, this should not be a game. I'll just leave it at that. They have so much better talent than Arkansas. Feel free to predict the score on this one and all of our games that we're breaking down. Michigan, -7 against Washington. Wolverines look solid in their season opener. Brutal injury to Ronnie Bell, who's a big-time playmaker on the outside, but Washington lost to Montana. This is a trap game I can buy into from Vegas. This is the classic Michigan sleepwalks through the week. We've seen this under Jim Harbaugh. And, Washington lost to Montana. Come on, this is a joke. And then they get stuck in this slugfest, and it's like 17-all late in the fourth, and you're like, how the hell are we here? I could totally see that happening in this game.
Great opportunity for Jim Harbaugh to put some doubters to rest, because a lot of people are expecting Michigan in prime time to lose this game to a previously ranked Washington team. And if they lose to Washington after the defeat that Washington suffered last week, it's a disaster.
Hot seat city for Harbaugh.
Michigan has to win this game going away, and it's a pivotal one for Jim Harbaugh.
Absolutely. Utah -7 versus BYU. The Holy War is what they call this in the great state of Utah. I like BYU at home, man. I think they for sure cover, and they play a lot better at home than they do on the road. I think they cover. I don't know if they win, but this is a program that consistently is going 8-4. They're good year in and year out. I like the Cougars to cover and maybe even win this one.
I'm with you on that, but I'm more excited for these upset picks that are coming up right now. Let's get to it.
So those were the big games of the week. We'll go through each of our upset picks. We have one each. And it's got to be a touchdown or more underdog. I've got App State straight up over Miami. I think they win this game. This is a great program at App State. They've been good since they beat Michigan almost 20 years ago. They've grown into a strong FBS program in the Sun Belt. Miami is reeling. De'Aaron King does not look healthy. They're going to be physically whipped after that Alabama game. I think they beat the Hurricanes on the road to start 2-0 in the 2021 season.
Here's my upset pick. I couldn't believe the line when I saw it. Northern Illinois coming off a win against Georgia Tech on the road.
Wow.
Touchdown underdogs against Wyoming. I'm gassing Northern Illinois. Let's ride and let's go. I'm putting the cheddar down on that game.
You money lining what are they? Are they the Huskies? What are they
Huskies.
out there? The North.
Yeah.
I remember.
Jordan Lynch back in the day. His brother is now the backup at Temple.
Oh wow! Wow. Then we're not no Temple upset pick this week.
No, had them plus 14.5 against Rutgers, and they got
absolutely torched by Greg Schiano in that one. Those are our college football picks. We're gonna probably pick games every week, so subscribe. Join us week in and week out. Chase and I are going live with our brand new show every Thursday, 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Central Time. We'll make our college picks of the week. It's a lot of fun, so subscribe and let us know. Who's your favorite college football team? Let's hear it in the comments section. Okay, so a lot more stuff to get into before we sign off. We're going to do one more live Q&A later on in the show, so #chat. Go ahead and load up those questions. And then we're going to jump back into some Ben Simmons stuff here. Ben Simmons, Chase, the story that keeps on giving.
Keeps giving because the trade rumors continue to simmer. It's been like a steady simmer for the last several months, and on our Sixers channel, it has been the gift that keeps on giving. Let's do some shout-outs, though. Guy Smithson, his favorite team is Michigan. A lot of people are going back and forth. It looks as though there's some hostility going on between some of the viewers. We don't like that, man. This is good vibes and takes on
Hey, you can talk trash if you're getting the comments flowing.
Yeah.
We're all about that. So clean trash talk. How about that? Here's a comment. Ohio State should roll. They should, but will they? That's the question. Oregon has some vets. They have some good athletes. The Buckeyes, I do think, have a little too much
Justin
offense.
Meade, Kansas State Wildcats.
Oh, go Cats,
COO
baby.
Brett will like that one.
Yeah, nice win for them in Week 1 over Stanford. Minutes has this one here. Is this a joke?
I'm coming for those
I'm coming for those cheeks.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's a good one.
We like to keep it light and have fun here. There's
that's
no
all
doubt about that.
Maybe peed your pants is in the comments as well today. We'll see. Oh, we got a score prediction alert. Shout out your scores in the comments for your favorite team. 44-35 Texas. If that game is that high scoring, I will be very surprised. I will say this, one more thing on that game. Hudson Card going into an SEC environment in his second career start. That could be something. Yeah. I mean, they'll get after it in Fayetteville for Texas. That's a former rivalry. Oh, we got COO Brett Scott's burner account with the shouting out K-State. Shout out Justin Meade, Brett Scott on that one. So appreciate you guys weighing in here. What are we going to next, Jeremy? We talking some NBA? Okay, we're going to get back into the Philadelphia 76ers. By the way, like the video if you haven't already. We're 30 likes away from 100. Let's get to 100 by the end of the show. That would help us out, and maybe the bosses will keep letting us do this show. We're having fun here, doing a lot of different conversation here on today's show. Bouncing around from sport to sport. Should be a lot of fun. Let's talk a little Ben Simmons coming up here in just a second. So Ben Simmons, will he get traded? That is the topic here at this moment. Harrison and Chase with you. Is he going to get traded? Where's he going to get traded to? You've been covering this a lot on our Sixers channel, and it's the gift that keeps on giving.
It's the gift that keeps on giving because we've been talking about these Ben Simmons trade rumors over the last several months because they've been nonstop ever since the Sixers flamed out of the playoffs. Where do you think he's going to get traded to? Chime in the comment section down below. The big question is, when is Ben Simmons going to get traded? I don't think it's if Ben Simmons is going to get traded. I just don't think that this relationship can continue. And coming up on today's show, we're going to take a look at 3 all-star caliber players who Ben Simmons could be traded for. Those are my 3. Harrison has his 3. I think Simmons is going to get traded at some point. It's just a matter of when, not if, because I don't know if this relationship can continue given how contentious it is between Simmons' party. Now that Rich Paul is speaking out, he's demanded a trade after meeting with the organization, and also how the fan base has reacted to Ben Simmons' trade request.
And some of the later reports are that he's willing to fork over the $1.2 million or whatever it is if he skips training camp. He says we're prepared for that. That's coming out of his camp. So
that tells you everything you need to know.
He's holding out. He's not going to show up. It's either trade him or be stuck with a max player who's not going to show up, it appears. So I think he has to get traded. These are 3 guys that we don't believe are options anymore in a Ben Simmons trade because the value's gone down because it's public now. Everyone knows he wants out. It would have been nice to get one of these 3 guys, Dame Lillard, James Harden, or Bradley Beal.
Yeah, the Sixers don't have a lot of leverage right now because all the teams across the NBA have seen that his stock is somewhat plummeted after that disastrous playoff showing against the Atlanta Hawks. And also, he's already requested a trade. He's willing to fork over money, as you said, to get dealt elsewhere. So the leverage is no longer on Daryl Morey's side, so that hurts them with what they can get back for Ben Simmons. But at one time, he was being talked about as a guy who was going to be included in that James Harden trade. The Sixers were close to pulling the trigger on that, but ended up not. How did that end up? Not good at all for Philadelphia. And I don't think Bradley Beal is a guy who you can get back for Ben Simmons, nor is Damian Lillard. So the point of the video today, some of those secondary options, but still all-star caliber players who the Sixers could net for Ben Simmons.
So we want to ask you this question, and then Chase is going to have 3 players that he thinks the Sixers could get in a trade for Ben Simmons. Then I'll have 3 guys. Is Ben Simmons a stiff? And on one of my shows recently on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel, I believe, was the definition of stiff is basically fraud, bum, or I should say synonyms of stiff is probably better. A guy who doesn't have what it takes. Is Ben Simmons that? I think the answer might be yes, at least when it comes to Philadelphia.
To me, he's a stiff because he has a boatload of potential, but he's failed to tap into it because I think he's a corner 3 away from being a superstar player. And the big reason why he's not a superstar is because Ben Simmons has neglected to work and expand and grow upon his offensive game. I always like to throw this comparison out there. You look at how Giannis has developed since he came into the league, Harrison. You look at how Jaylen Brown has developed over time.
Yep.
They have taken their offensive game to the next level because they've worked on their deficiencies, they've worked on their flaws, whereas Ben Simmons has actually, in my opinion, gotten worse since he came into the league, since being that number 1 pick a few years ago coming out of LSU. The one hole in his game, it's a jump shot. And he hasn't developed the jump shot. And that's a big reason why his development has kind of flatlined. It's been stunted, but also it's a big reason why the Sixers, with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons as a tandem, have failed to make it out of the second round of the playoffs.
So we're going to get into some Ben Simmons trade targets here. We'll start with Chase's 3 guys here. Chase, like we said, it's not going to be James Harden or Bradley Beal or any of these dudes, but take us through a couple of guys that you think that could make some sense for Ben Simmons.
Yeah, moving off of some of those superstars, we're pivoting now to all-star caliber players who I think the Sixers could trade Simmons for, because I do think his value is a lot higher than what people think right now. I think Ben Simmons can get back a CJ McCollum, and I think that roster fit makes a lot of sense, because then you have a future backcourt with Tyrese Maxey, who I think realistically this year with volume can average 15 to 20 points per game, and I think he can play on-ball, off-ball, which really complements CJ McCollum well, and I think McCollum, a guy who played locally at Lehigh, would fit in well alongside Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey as that backcourt. I'm really high on Colin Sexton. This is a guy who can average 20 to 25 points per game. He can score at all three levels. He's really dynamic as a playmaker. He's just been hidden and overshadowed by the fact that he plays in the bunker of Cleveland because nobody wants to play there. And then lastly, the biggest name I'd love to see the Sixers get outside of the Bradley Beal of the world or maybe a Damian Lillard is De'Aaron Fox. I love his explosion. I love his ability to kind of take over.
Is he your favorite option here?
Standpoint, he would go down as my favorite option because I think he's the better player than Colin Sexton. I think he has a little bit more upside than a CJ McCollum. He's a little bit more well-rounded. I like his defensive intensity more than a guy like CJ McCollum. And De'Aaron Fox, like those other guys, it's a three-level score. And when you look at the Sixers over the last couple of years and the big reason why they've gone out so early in the playoffs and failed to make a deep run, they don't have a guy and haven't had a guy outside of Jimmy Butler who can break it down off the dribble, who can be a reliable creator and bucket getter late in games and at the end of shot clocks, because Ben Simmons hasn't been that guy. All three of those guys, what's the theme there? They can create for themselves as well as their teammates, and I think a lot of them still do have upside.
Talking some Ben Simmons trade targets here on Chat Sports. New show, Harrison, Graham, and Chase, every single Thursday, 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 Central Time. Make sure you subscribe to our Sixers channel, by the way, youtube.com/76erstv. I'll take you through three names I have come up with as well. And we'll start with D'Angelo Russell. There's been some chatter that the T-Wolves could have some interest in Ben Simmons, which I think is interesting. If they're going to get him, I think Russell has to be in that trade, especially now that Culver is gone, which that was weird, by the way, but whatever, that they shipped him out. I like D'Lo. He can score at all three levels. He can play on and off ball as well, so you could kind of, mix and match with him and Maxey if you want to go that route in the backcourt. I think that could be a fun point guard, shooting guard combination with him and Tyrese. Malcolm Brogdon, a player that I know you're very high on, Chase. He's got injury concerns, which your main player in Joel Embiid is always going to have that. So do you want that? Maybe, maybe not. He's a 50, 40, 90 threat every single year. Did that a couple of years ago. He's very impressive shooting the basketball, and he's a good defender, which I like, and I know the Sixers value. And then I kind of zagged when you zigged. You said De'Aaron Fox. I don't think the Kings will trade him, so I went Tyrese Halliburton, who was fantastic as a rookie. You pair him with Maxey, two second-year players in the same backcourt. I think their skill sets mix each other very, very well. You've got Joel Embiid still. I think these are some intriguing names. Sure, they're not the names that you would have wanted in a Simmons trade 6 months ago, but it ain't 6 months ago, man. Like, they missed the boat on the James Harden trade, unfortunately. So now you've got to shift to realistic options, especially if it's 100% true that Ben Simmons ain't coming back. Like, if he's quit on the organization, then you got to get what you can take. So I think that's what you got to do. Producer Jeremy has a question for us, so we'll mic him up here. Jeremy, what do you got for us?
So y'all went through y'all's possible trade scenarios. What's like the worst possible thing that could happen for the 76ers? Like, what's worst case scenario for the Sixers?
Worst case scenario is they get a package headlined by like DeJounte Murray of the San Antonio Spurs. I think that's the worst case scenario, and that's a trade idea that some people have thrown out there. Ben Simmons to the Spurs, you give him the keys to that organization, and you let him be the primary creator and playmaker on that team, and you surround him with a bunch of shooters. But to get back only DeJounte Murray when several months ago you were talking about Ben Simmons being in a trade for James Harden. The fall off from Harden to DeJounte Murray is astronomical. That would be a disaster.
That or not trading him and just not having him show up.
I just don't think the relationship can continue. Yeah, it could be worse than the Anthony Davis situation in New Orleans.
And that wasn't
and the
nearly
James Harden situation in Houston when he shows up 25 pounds overweight and he's going to the strip club instead of practice.
I think he was wearing a bodysuit. I'm convinced. I mean, he
looked like Santa in those Red Rockets unis.
He gets to Brooklyn and he's in the best shape of his life 4 days later. I don't know what happened there, but
That's a good question, Chase.
Yeah, I mean, the worst case is you trade him and you don't even get an all-star back. I mean, that's, you get like a rotation guard as your headliner. That would be a disaster. So you can't trade him for just whatever, but you can't keep him. I mean, you're stuck if you're Philadelphia. You've got a couple of weeks until training camp here, so the clock's ticking. Joel Embiid can support him on social media if he wants. I don't think that's going to improve the situation. I'll tell you this. Chase Sr., my guy right here, big Sixers fan, he's going to keep you guys covered a lot throughout the rest of the offseason and on to the season. So subscribe. We'll have more shows like this during our Thursday live show as well that we will post on our Sixers channel. So go check out our Sixers coverage at youtube.com/76erstv. And let's ask this one more time. Is Ben Simmons a stiff? What do you guys think? Y for yes, N for no. Is he a bum? Is he a fraud? Basically, do if you don't like him at this point, you're typing your Y for yes.
Exactly right.
So let us know in the comments and hit that subscribe button. All right. Yes. Let's get some more votes here. New show name ideas. And if you're just joining us or if you've joined us, midway through the show and you're like, this looks different than what it normally does, Chase and I today launched a brand new show. It's going to air every Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Central Time. If that time changes, we'll let you know, but that's the plan for now. And the plan is to just cover a lot of hot topics in the NBA, the NFL, some college football, some
Talk a little sports betting as well.
Yeah, sports betting is going to be involved. Maybe some non-sport stories from time to time. And keep it loose, keep it fun. Not as many graphics necessarily. Just two dudes chopping it up with you guys, having a good time. So these are kind of the 4 show name ideas we've settled on. We need to pick one by next Thursday. That is the goal, to have a permanent show name. So let us know. Type 1 if you like the show name Any Given Thursday. Type 2 if you like the name Shoot or Shoot. Type 3 if you like the last word. And then type 4 if you like It's Almost Friday. The live poll is this as well. You can vote over there. 162 votes, Chase, and 41% say Any Given Thursday.
Yeah, 162 votes in, 41% going with Any Given Thursday, 23% with Shoot or Shoot. It's Almost Friday coming in at 26%, so that just overtook Shoot or Shoot, actually, and the last word coming in at 10%. Some people getting their votes in, too. Dark Knight thinks that Ben Simmons is a stiff. Cass is saying hell yes. L2 Cloud saying no. This is actually pretty funny. Justin Meade saying, who is Ben Simmons? LOL. Honestly, I don't follow basketball at all. He's one of the bigger names across the NBA.
I think Dark Knight, by the way, is voting for Any Given Thursday. I believe that's what he's doing.
Okay, cool. Well,
I think he's typing his one for that.
Yeah, I was trying to play some catch-up. Oh, L2 Cloud said, yes, he's a stiff. And then 1 for Any Given Thursday from Dark Knight. 2 going with Shoot or Shoot from L2 Clouds. Appreciate all of you for getting your votes in. Your boss saying it's almost Friday. So.
Okay. There we go. Pretty
Jonah
split.
Ramirez saying I'm Ben Simmons' agent. Not Rich Paul. He fired Rich Paul today.
Hey, if that's true, then
we're reporting it here.
Slide in the DMs at HGramNFL, and we'll chop it up. All right, we got one more segment. We'll end it with a live Q&A. Hashtag chat. Ask about the NFL, the NBA, college football, life advice. If you want to ask stuff about stuff going on in your life outside of sports, Chase and
dating advice.
We've been through it all.
Betting advice.
We can give good advice on.
You're struggling to approach your girl with a certain
pickup
line.
If you got a match on Tinder and you don't know how to approach it, hey, we've all been there. So hashtag chat, sports or otherwise, we're answering your questions. Let's end this thing with a bang. That's the wrong L3 coming up, Jeremy. Let's not do that. Hashtag chat, producer Chugs trying to get out of here and take some shots.
Super chat menu too. Can we do a super chat menu real
super
quick?
Chat menu. So if you super chat,
I'm down to drink.
Yeah, I'm down to drink
Thursday.
as well.
Thursday.
If you super chat, then we'll do some fun stuff for you guys. Obviously, we'll shout you guys out for a super chat of any amount. But if you give us a $5 super chat, we'll drink some more of our beer. I'm actually empty over here, so if we get one, I'll have to drink more. $20, producer Jeremy will come take a shot, and then $50. What do you say, Chase?
Take a shotty because we're never scared.
Well, yeah, you're never scared. There you go.
Never
He will
scared.
he will shotgun a beer. So we're ready to rock and roll. Get your questions in if you want a super chat. That is what's on tap today. Hashtag chat or super chat. We'll get your questions on today's show.
That's hilarious.
Producer Chugs just said something ridiculous. It's toward the end of the show, that's for sure. All right, it's live Q&A time here on Chat Sports on our brand new show, Harrison and Chase. Just looking to give some advice, sports or otherwise. We'll answer your questions around the NFL, the NBA. If you have dating advice, we're down to answer that as well. Nothing is off limits here toward the end of the show.
Dating questions, because we got you with the advice.
Yeah,
How about
yeah,
that?
you give us questions, we got your
Don't
answers.
Hate the player, hate the game.
Hey, man, we're ready to go. So go ahead and get those questions in. Smack Talk Back, I love it. Or is that Bach? Smack Talk Bach. Would you rather have a primetime Steve Nash or Kyrie right now if you owned the Nets? Hashtag chat. I think prime Steve Nash is who I would prefer because with this Nets team, he can just distribute to KD and James Harden all day.
It's prime Steve Nash, and it's not even close.
Woo!
Why is that? Because I can actually count on Steve Nash to come to the game.
And he's not a
I don't
flat
have to
earther.
worry about him disappearing. I don't have to worry about him being flaky or flat earth guy. Steve Nash, throughout his career, was one of the best point guards that we've ever seen. Kyrie Irving has shown flashes of that,
Yep.
but the consistency issues and him being dependable and him going down with injuries, I have issues with all of that. Give me Steve Nash 7 days out of 7.
Jonah Ramirez, hashtag chat. Is Texas back? Hook 'em. I'm not even close to being ready to declare that. Let's see if they're unbeaten when the OU game comes around in the middle of
Let's see if they
October.
can beat Arkansas
Yes.
first.
Look,
If they dominate Arkansas and win by 28 points, then let's start to have the conversation of, okay, what's the Steve Sarkisian impact?
yes.
But if they lose to Arkansas, not back.
It was a great start. I don't think you could ask for more in the Sark debut. It's one game against inferior talent. Let's see if they can back it up against an SEC win on the road. Dare I say a future conference opponent in Arkansas and a former conference opponent. You start 2-0, you get some momentum rolling, then we can talk here in a couple of weeks. The King, I think, what does this say? Kyle Pitts will win Rookie of the Year. It's hard for a non-quarterback to win this, but if any non-QB will, it's going to be Pitts or Najee Harris.
I'll tell you why Kyle Pitts will win Rookie of the Year. I think he's the most surefire prospect in the 2021 NFL draft class. I've said that for a really long time. I think he's such an impact player. I think kind of pinning him as a tight end is disrespectful because I think he should be labeled a W. He's just a weapon, man. He can line up at wide receiver. He can play tight end. And lastly, there's this. Arthur Smith, while being the offensive coordinator with the Tennessee Titans, had so much success with tight ends and running 12 personnel. I expect him to do the same and unleash Kyle Pitts. I think he's going to be an impact player from day one.
Justin Meade, any thoughts on the Chiefs' defense being undersized? The Chiefs' D from producer Chugs, always keeping his mind in the gutter over there. The Chiefs.
Is the Chiefs' D undersized?
It took me a little while to get that one. You got me, Jeremy. You got me.
Good.
I don't know if the D is undersized. Is the defense undersized? Hopefully the answer is no in both cases, but I like this Chiefs defense. I think it's underrated. I think Steve Spagnuolo's done a nice job since taking over a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
They've gone from second to last in the NFL in 2018 to top half in the last 2 years. So I think it's a good unit. I think Tyrann Mathieu and Chris Jones are cornerstone players, and I love second-year corner L'Jarius Sneed. So I don't have major problems about their defense, and with the way they scored, their defense is just fine anyway. Today's sponsor is BetUS. If you want to go bet on the NFL, do some NBA prop bets, whatever it is, there's one place to do it, and that is BetUS. Here's the thing, though. You got to use our link below. Otherwise, you can't get the deposit bonus. It just won't work. So open a separate tab. Type this in, chatsports.com/bet. Use our promo code CHAT125. You put down $100, that'll get you an extra $125 in free play. Extra money to bet on throughout the NFL season, on into the NBA season, and Major League Baseball as well. Make some money. It's chatsports.com/bet. Use our promo code CHAT125.
Justin Meade said, unintentional, I swear.
Jason Mason, who's the best baller at Chat Sports? I like the use of hashtag chat there. Man, Who do
if
you
we're
think?
talking basketball, it's me. It's just me.
So, producer-
I'll take
Eyes.
anybody on.
Lies.
Producer Chugs, who's micing
across
up
the
right
entire
now,
office.
has supposed to face Chase in one-on-one. It hasn't happened yet.
I had a foot injury, but now
Chase
I'm
keeps
back.
on backing out
I
like
had
a
a foot injury and now I'm back.
Should we televise this? Should we go live
Let's
here
go.
on Chat Sports and play a little one-on-one? Let us know. Yes, Y for yes, N for no. Should we air Chugs versus Chase in one-on-one? Because I think that's something we all want to see. So get your votes in.
I don't want to embarrass Chase like that.
I already embarrassed you in golf on Sunday,
Well,
so I'll embarrass you in basketball as well.
Well, and Chase and I embarrassed the entire office in Pong a couple of weeks ago. The real ones know.
No lies
so.
spoken.
Absolutely.
That 6-cup John.
It was all I know is we went 12-0, Jeremy. So let's keep to pushing the
We're
buttons
stealing
over there.
money from cats.
Taylor Fleming, #chat, Raiders record prediction. Well, if Mitchell Renz was in here, he'd probably say 12-5. I'm not a believer, man. I don't think the Mayock-Gruden duo ends well. I think there's a good chance Mayock's gone after this year.
I agree.
Dude, both their two of their 3 third-round picks last year aren't even on the team.
That's
You
bad.
trade Lynn Bowden before the season even starts last year.
Anytime you take Cleveland Farrell in the top 5, it ain't it.
They cut Tanner Muse last week, who was a major overdraft, and didn't even bring him back to the practice squad. They signed another linebacker, so they haven't drafted well. They've overpaid some guys in free agency. They haven't been terrible. They have improved record-wise, but
Really good division, too.
you know, I'm not a believer in that duo, man. I think Mayock's gone after this year. I'll say 7-10, and
I was
they're
going to say
7
wins.
and 10, and they're looking for a new GM. Jerry Sherwood likes something. #chat. Better analyst, Michael Irvin or Kendrick Perkins? It's a good question, actually.
Yeah.
So Michael Irvin is now on First Take on Mondays, I believe, which, I like, Stephen A. It makes ESPN a lot of money, but they just let him run the show now. I think they've given him way too much power. I'd probably go Perk, honestly. He at least makes me laugh on Twitter.
I like Michael Irvin. I think he's good in a setting on NFL Network. I don't like when he almost strokes out on First Take alongside
Take a
Stephen
breath,
A. Smith.
Mike.
I actually think Kendrick Perkins brings a lot to the table as an NBA analyst,
Yeah.
and I do feel like he has some inside sources. He was the first one that talked about Ben Simmons
Yeah, he did.
not reporting
It's true.
to training camp. So I love Perk. I think he's fantastic.
And he's better on Twitter.
Yeah.
Jonah, again, can we convince Tom to do a 24-hour straight show if the Cowboys win by 30 tonight? You know what?
He probably would do it, and he wouldn't have to pee the entire time.
I don't want to speak for him. I'll tell you this, though. He's doing a live watch party on our Cowboys channel for Cowboys Bucks. Game is, 7:20 Eastern or 8:20 Eastern, so in about an hour and a half. If you're watching this live, obviously if you're not watching live, then this question's moot. But go join him because it's going to be a fun live watch party. Appreciate the question. Speaking of a couple of two good athletes we just talked about, Michael Irvin and Kendrick Perkins. Who's your favorite athlete of all time? I think I know the answer for Chase, but I'll let him speak for himself.
Who would
I
be
think
your
it's
answer
Allen
for me?
Iverson.
Yeah, Allen Iverson and Brian Dawkins. Those are
Okay.
my 2 favorite athletes of all time. I think
Man.
they both epitomize
Those are good ones.
what you should be as athletes on the floor. Allen Iverson off the floor, maybe not. Not the most exemplary
But he
figure,
brought the culture, though, man.
Brought the culture.
He made a couple of bad.
Changed the culture of the NBA more so than anybody
As he
else.
got older, he matured. I think we all make mistakes when we're younger. I think he's fine there. I like both those selections. Dawkins was awesome with Philadelphia. Man, this is tough. I'm a big Dirk guy, Dallas through and
Have to
through.
be.
With the Mavs, of course, and I just think he's the most humble superstar of all time. I mean, it's just what I believe. So I'd probably go Dirk number 1. It's tough. There's so many NFL guys putting me on the spot here. I'll say this, college football, I loved watching Vince Young at Texas. He was just unreal. Reggie Bush was fun at USC. Those early mid-2000s, there were some dudes in college football. So those are a couple of names, but Dirk would have to be my number 1. Got time for a few more questions. Subscribe if you want more live mailbags like this one. SM says, NBA coaches on the hot seat. It's a good one, man. Entering this year.
Luke Walton.
Yeah, well, he's
Number 1 coach on the hot seat.
He's the obvious one. If
He
Zach
was given assurance that he'd be back for this year, nothing beyond that. And in addition to that, I'd go with Doc Rivers.
Wow.
I think if the
Year
Sixers
2.
are bad, I think they get rid of him year 2 because Daryl Morey didn't hire him. He was hired before Daryl Morey.
I'm looking at the standings here. Oh, man, it's hard to do this on the spot here, man, especially after the offseason where there were coaching changes. What about Scott Brooks is already gone in Washington. I was going to say him. Could Billy Donovan be on the hot seat if they miss the playoffs in Chicago?
Don't think so.
You think he's
It's
safe?
only year 2.
It's only year 2, but they added all these pieces.
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe not. How about this? I think they'll give him time, but what about the dude in Detroit? He used to be the Raptors coach. Now he's the Pistons coach. Dwayne Casey.
Dwayne Casey, yeah.
I think they're going to give him time, but what if they're just a disaster again? New voice for
I could see him
Cade.
being out, although he kind of got a promotion. Like, he's got some front office say as well.
That's true. So I definitely think Luke Walton is the one that stands out there. Frankie Gustavo Fring. Do the Warriors have one more NBA Finals run in them? #chat. I think it's possible. I wish they would have added another star, but they were unable to do so.
I think the Warriors have another NBA Finals run in them. I think everything hinges on Klay Thompson's health.
Yeah.
If Klay Thompson comes back and he's somewhat healthy, I think the Warriors are going to be able to compete for an NBA title this year.
And
if he's not, I don't think they're
And can
deep
him coming back create enough spacing to make Draymond an effective offensive player again? Because he has not been that the last 2 years without Klay. So I think that's kind of a twofold possibility there. Anish Anand, what game will have the biggest blowout in week 1?
I think the Niners are just going to steamroll the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, it's on the road, but still, man.
Yeah.
I think another one that stands out to me is looking at it, Minnesota over Cincinnati. It's on the road. Maybe that's a trap game. How about the Packers-Saints game? New Orleans dealing with a lot. Could Green Bay just boat race them in Jacksonville?
I think
Maybe
New
not.
Orleans is too well coached.
You still
for that
think
to
they're
happen.
good enough to compete?
Yeah.
We'll see. I would have said the Ravens over the Raiders, but it's on the road, and the Ravens are decimated now.
Yeah.
So I think that game's probably a little closer. I think the Niners is the one for sure. All right, Darkman, sup Chase, sup Harrison, what it do up in here? So this is our new show. Every Thursday, 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Central Time, you'll see Chase, myself, chopping it up with you guys, hitting a lot of the hot topics in the NFL, the NBA. We'll do some gambling stuff, NFL picks of the week, college football bets of the week. We'll do some live Q&As like we always do with just whatever questions you guys have. And we're just keeping it loose, a little less structure, having fun. We always have fun here at Chat Sports, but just kind of a different type of vibe, different type of energy. That's kind of what we're going for here. So join us every week, Thursday, 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 Central. You see the subscribe link below. Make sure to hit that sub button, and we will be back every single Thursday. All right, honest Laker fan. Lakers are winning free agency. Well, free agency's kind of over, but they had a good free agency.
Past tense would be one.
Yes.
And you might have an argument there.
Good,
I like what the Lakers
good value
did.
signings.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely up there. I wouldn't put them number 1, but they did have a good offseason for sure. By the way, I think you have an extra space between Laker and fan, but, that's neither here nor there. I think this is the last question, unless we get a super chat. #chat from Anish. Do the Nets have the most talented roster of all time? All time?
I'm not. All time is pretty lofty. Like, that Warriors team with KD, I think, was better than this Nets team.
I think so, too.
Now, obviously, if you go up against one another, like you're taking KD off the Nets, right? But I think the Warriors team, if you're just pairing them up next to each other, I think that Warriors team with KD.
Call me crazy, just
great.
Kobe and Shaq.
Kobe and Shaq.
Forget the rest of the roster.
I think they beat Brooklyn as well.
I think so, too. Now, the eras are different, the way the game's officiated. Like, would they let Shaq just run over dudes? Probably not, but... it's hard to compare. It's definitely in the top 5 or 10 because you have 3 surefire Hall of Famers and probably a 4th in Blake Griffin. But, yeah, I can't say for sure it's the most talented of all time. Our first show is almost in the books. We'll get your guys' votes on a show name one more time before we sign off. But first, Thursday Night Football, Chase, kickoff just over an hour away. Dallas, Tampa Bay. How are we feeling here?
I think the Bucs are going to win this game, and I think they're going to be impressive doing so. I think the Cowboys are going to have a classic backdoor cover to cover the 9-10-point number, depending on where you're looking at.
What's the over-under in this game, by the way?
I actually don't know. I could see it being pretty high.
Yeah, I could see this being like, 56, 57, something like that.
It is 52.5.
Oh, I like the over at 52.5.
I kind of like the over, too. Yeah.
I mean,
Cowboys can't play defense, right?
No, I think they'll be a little better on that side, but still not enough to contain Tom Brady and the boys. DALTB, get your votes in right here on this one. SM's going with the Bucks, so is L2 Cloud. We got one more comment here, by the way, from Darkman. I should have said that I turned 60 today. Happy birthday to me, Darkman 60. That's a big milestone. Happy birthday to you from the entire Chat Sports staff. Take a shot tonight to celebrate. If that's not your thing, at least enjoy a good meal and enjoy some football as we got the Bucks and the Cowboys tonight. Happy birthday to you. Everybody get the HBDs going in the comments because it is Darkman's happy birthday. Before we sign off, Chase, 4 show name ideas. I think we're down to these 4. We got to update the live poll here, which has Any Given Thursday in the lead at 40%, it looks like.
Yeah, 40% for Any Given Thursday. Second place, It's Almost Friday, 25% of the votes, with 24%, though, Shoot or Shoot.
That's
and
very
then
close.
Last Word is at 10%.
So what do you guys think? What show name we rolling with? Now, it's not just up to you guys. We're going to have input too, but we wanted you guys to be involved here. So I think we can say that the last word has been eliminated. I think we can reveal that. I think it's going to be one of the other 3. Is that a fair thing to say, that we've eliminated the last word?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at. This is what we're going to do. Every Thursday, Chase and I are going to be live, 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 Central. Hopefully we have a show name next week. I think we will. We have a pretty good idea of which names we like. We have a couple on screen there that we're kind of down to here. So get your votes in. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Spread the word. We want to get more and more people watching this. We want to make this appointment viewing every single Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern. It was a fun debut, some things to clean up on our end, but we expect to do that and have some more fun, expand on some of our content as well. You guys are the best. Enjoy the game tonight. I am Harrison. He is Chase. We will see you guys very soon here on Chat Sports.